ZEEGEES underscore. What the hell? Why can't I?
Maybe close
That's
your.
because I had us on mute, Dread. We should be good now.
Oh, of course, Darren's fucking in here immediately.
Maybe close your.
Yeah,
Twitter,
I did. Yeah, I did.
and then is it working now?
Nah, I'm trying it now. At ZEE. You're not fucking coming up.
I chose like the most OP version of Vega as your thumbnail, ZG. So I hope you appreciate it.
Overpowered. ST.
Nah, Street Fighter animated movie.
I can't even remember that movie.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just tweet that we're just live and not about to go.
Dread, can you give us sound confirmation? How do we all sound?
No. Can this be my display picture? Yeah.
Okay, the tag worked. I gotcha.
Which one?
For ZG.
No.
This might be my display picture. Abby.
Where did you send it?
In the group chat.
Alright, I have to minimize
In the
it.
Discord group chat, the one where we're.
Oh shit.
Alright.
Twitch.tv_thebeast. Oh, 151. Whoops! Delete the tweet.
Fucking, and English is your first language too, you fuck.
Nah, it's not. I'm from Europe.
Alright, making amendment now.
Delete.
I love that picture. It's so good.
The Beast. BEAST_151. Alright. Finally. Cool. Done.
And almost done with this picture. I'm assuming we sound good. Yeah, Dread Tech.
It's such a good picture.
Shout out to Powerful Matt for that one.
Yeah, it is, Dread.
Alright, everyone sounds
So
good. Alright. 3, 2, 1. And we're live. What's good, guys? Welcome, everybody, to episode 31 of the Beast Stands. I'm your host, The Beast. Today I'm joined with some powerful guests in the form of Darksided ZG and
Hello.
Orders RoF. What's good?
Howdy.
Thanks for being on the podcast last minute, guys. Well, not last minute. Well,
Last minute for one of us. I think we don't know who that is. Not going to say any names here, but
very much appreciated.
Cool. Thanks for having us.
Been wanting to get you guys on for a while now. So, but yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, just don't like. It's just you're so Hollywood these days, ROF. Like overseas, doing other podcasts. Like I know my podcast is pretty ghetto, but.
All right, so you did listen to it. All right, okay. Yeah, there we go. He's listening. He's watching.
Dude, I got my ears around. I got to pay attention to what's happening. But yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
he actually approached me. Well, if you did the same thing, I would.
Well, you're here now, fucker. All right, I can easily kick you off as soon as I want. So behave. But yeah, very much appreciated. Glad to have you guys both on. A lot of history behind you guys within the Australian FGC. Keen to get some discussion going. Before we get into the meaty of the discussion, make it as long or as short as you want. Can we get some intros behind you guys?
All right. Cool. Elders first.
Oh, we're gonna play that card.
Just an origin story, ZG. How you got into the FGC? What games you play, obviously.
Well, me. Hey, so I'm ZG. I guess I was originally known as ZG now. Like I don't even know. Like most people didn't know how to pronounce that anyway. I just wrote it down because it looked kind of cool when I was looking for an alias. And it was basically my name with a Z with a Z at the end, and I just flipped it around, and that's how I got my nickname. And yeah, I got into the tournament scene and people couldn't pronounce my name, so they shortened it to ZG, and that's me in a nutshell. In terms of how I got into the scene, I guess I was playing Dota back in the days, the first Dota, and it was, I guess it was like towards the later end of my university years. So it was like the last year, and that game is just a time sink. You have to invest like literally 30 minutes to an hour, maybe longer, just to finish a game. And you know how it is. If you lose like a 2-hour game, for example, you just get salty. You gotta run it
100%.
back.
Which is why I
You gotta
never,
run
which
it
is
back,
why
bro.
I never got into those types of games. Never.
If you want to sleep, you gotta run it back and get the It's pretty bad. So yeah, like I decided to cut my ties with Dota back in the days, and I graduated, and then I guess I was bored. I was looking for a game, and at the time my cousin was playing Third Strike with me. It was just finally emulated on PC, and I just started to play.
Mm-hmm.
And once they kind of got like I don't want to say I outgrown them, but it's like they get salty. They can't handle losses and shit anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
I just try to, I guess, expand my horizons. And I remember one day I was just walking down Burke Street where the arcade was in Chinatown, and I saw Third Strike was at the arcade, so like I dipped my toes into that. And at the time I was just playing it casually anyway, and like I said, it was just emulated, and something like GGPO was just released, so that's when I found like other people to play Third Strike with. And when I found that arcade, like I realized, oh, I actually want to play at the arcades. I want to play with other people. But because me playing on GGPO, I started off as a keyboard warrior. I was playing on keyboard, like Third Strike on keyboard. And I realized to play at the arcades, it's like a completely different experience. So I bought a stick. And by that time, I got pretty good at it, I believe, on the keyboard. So when I transitioned to stick, it was just like a completely different experience. I had to relearn the game, like in like 5-7 months, I guess.
Sorry to cut you off, but this was while Third Strike was the main Street Fighter game, yeah?
No, actually, no. This was around 2008, 2009. So this is when Street Fighter 4 just came out.
Oh, okay.
I got into the FGC like really late. Like I was like in my 22s or 23s at the time. I was like 23, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like Third Strike was just a game that I really enjoyed because back then I was a bloody poor student, man. Street Fighter 4 was like going for like $2 a credit. It hurts, man. It hurts. But yeah, eventually Third Strike died out, and I was dabbling in Street Fighter 4 casually because a few of my friends wanted me to play with them in the newer games, so I was playing with them. And once Third Strike died down, I got into Street Fighter 4, and I started to take it a bit more serious at the arcades. And at the arcades, you make friends there, and eventually you get introduced to people, and that's where I met people like Ali. Do you remember Ali?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. And I guess that's where I was introduced to the whole Shadow Logic crew and the rest of the Melbourne FGC. I think at my first arcade tournament, that's where I met Muddins, that's where I met Ali. And pretty much it just grew from there, I suppose.
Nice.
Probably just, I don't know. Probably talking too much, but
no, that's good. No, people want to hear the law, man. People want to hear the law. There's so many people in the FGC, and like, for the up and comers, they want to know like where people came from, and yeah, it's all good. All right, RoF, yourself, please.
Oh boy, where do I start? I guess if we want to go with me getting into the FGC in Australia the first time, I was actually around the same age as ZG. I think I was like 22, 21, so I wasn't really one of those people that started off when they were young and got in with like, a nice little group that they could like spread out with and sort of, be like, oh, hey, this is us. I sort of just put myself in there, and I think a lot of people didn't really like that, but I don't give a fuck.
To be honest, I dragged you out to OG. Come on.
Yeah, there was 2 instances where I wasn't gonna attend tournaments. I wasn't gonna go to BAM, and Mim was actually the one who dragged me to that one. She told me to go to that, so she was one of the first people to drag me out to one of the local tournaments. And then after BAM, I didn't really want to go HN, and then ZG this time was the one that was like, okay, you should come to this one. And then I housed with him, and ended up being quite cool, meeting a lot of the other players and hanging out with them and snuggling with Brewer in the same bed. You know, it was nice and cozy.
Jesus Christ, that's one
Yeah,
big blanket.
yeah, him and his humongous cock. So
I guess that's something we can share. Like we both shared a bed with Brewer. Nice and comfy.
Dude, if you've been to any major in Australia, you've shared a bed with someone.
Pretty much half the time.
basically. But the first time I played any Street Fighter game, I think ZG said it was for him. It was Third Strike, but for me it was Street Fighter EX Plus Alpha on the PlayStation. That was the first Street Fighter I played, and then I played a bit of Street Fighter 4 when that came out. Didn't really get involved in the scene. I was quite young. I was like 15, 16, just an online warrior. And then started playing Street Fighter 5. Played a lot in Korea, which I think elevated my gameplay tenfold. Playing with those guys and practicing with them. And then when I came here, just exploded all over everyone's face onto the scene. And here I am now. I don't really have like a nice, really lovely story that ZG has, where he met some wonderful people and, you know, he went to an arcade and all this, you know, classic shit. But mine's just me going to OHN, money matching Dookie and destroying him.
I don't know, man. I would argue you had a kind of nice story. First, I guess it was a bit bitter at the start when people like who didn't know your true self, and then when I dragged you down to OGen and you got to meet guys like Muddins and Brewer, I think you were able to form pretty good friendships with a lot of the Melbourne guys.
Yeah, now the situation is different. There's people who form their own opinions, and if you formed it one way, I couldn't give a single fuck what you think. I'm projecting myself how I feel like to be as a good person, and if you don't feel like that's what you see, then I can't really change your mind. But I do what I do, and I look after this community, and I try and push for it, and I always want, you know, the younger guys to get up there and start doing better and start performing, and always striving to be the greatest they can be with, you know, what they do in terms of their gameplay, and having, I guess, that factor of being like, you know, welcome into a community as well. I really want people to have a good experience with that. In particular, like I notice a lot with Kadzao and a lot of the other younger Melbourne players. So it's sort of just about having a positive experience. That's the number one thing that I want people to have when they come into something. Because I don't think a lot of people could handle what I went through with my whole, I guess, like persona and that whole thing I had against me. So I'm fine with it. Like I got pretty tough skin, and, you know, props to my dad for that shit. But with other people, I don't think it'd be as welcoming. So I'm just trying to make it as easy for them as I can.
To be honest, like when I started to get into the FGC with the Third Strike scene, was they were actually quite the OGs at the time. They had a different mentality back in the day, especially in the arcade days. It was like, unless you were somebody that's an established player, for example, you weren't really welcomed into the scene either. So a lot of like the OGs back then, the really good ones anyway, whenever I ask them questions or anything like that, they'll give me like yes, no answers, and they'll barely even look at you when they talk to you.
Really?
And if it wasn't for guys like Muddins and Ali when I met them at Galactic Circus, I probably wouldn't continue with the FGC. Not gonna lie, it's specifically because of Ali and his crew, and they showed me like how welcoming the FGC can be. That's why I stayed. The games are nice, but you really stay for the people.
I just want to get back to ROF. Like, it sounded like you spent like the majority of your time learning Street Fighter initially in Korea, from what you just said.
In terms of, I guess, how can I say? Like, I played Street Fighter 4 from Arcade Edition 2012 until Ultra.
Yeah.
But I wasn't.
In Australia or Korea?
Yeah, in Australia.
Okay.
This is when I was a high school student.
Okay.
So I played that when I was in high school, but I knew I was fucking ass. Like, you know, my 2-hit combo was jumping heavy kick into a sweep. You know, woo, knockdown, hard knockdown. Let's go. But it sort of transitioned to the next step was do a cross up into a follow up combo, and then the next transition was try an anti-air. But that took me, you know, a long time to get where I am right now. I actually was fucking trash at the game. I was really bad. But I don't know. There was just this one point in that whole thing when I was like, holy shit, this is it. This is what I need to do, and then it just clicked from there. And I guess playing in South Korea with a lot of those players over there helped me get to that realization sooner, because they will abuse every single facet of your gameplay that's ass into their favor, and make sure that you know it. Like, you think Asian players respect and all that? No. Because in casual sets, they're like way more ruthless than us here.
It's
They'll
true.
keep
In casuals, they're definitely more ham. In
They're
tournaments,
fucking-
they're very
yeah.
reserved. But
Yeah,
in casuals, they'll let it rip.
they'll go into you. They'll drill you. So,
That shocked me actually at TGS last year. Playing casuals against some of them, fucking nutcase.
yeah, it's insane. And I think the first tournament I went to was in South Korea, and I actually got top 16. That was the Road to Evo for the tournament that was in question. So
That's
there was
nice.
there was Sandbag, there was NL. I went 1-2 against NL, which I didn't even know who that was at the time, but apparently he was like one of the really good players there. So I managed to
mean-
get top 16.
I mean, I went 0-2 my first tournament, so and that's an Aussie tournament too.
Yeah. So that's the situation, I guess, with whole overseas kind of training.
How long were you there before you came back to Australia?
11 months.
Okay. That sounds like quite the grind.
I didn't go there for the grind. I went there because I wanted
No,
to.
yeah, obviously, but yeah.
That was just like a side thing I found out.
Mhm.
So I didn't even know anything about the FGC there.
But once you did, were you playing on the regular or just like you said, as a side thing?
Have you heard of Arcade Stream?
Loosely.
It was one of the local events that was in South Korea that was held weekly.
Mm-hmm.
It was a weekly tournament run by a guy called Drake Fang, who was one of the guys that sort of like put me into the FGC over there. He was like, he just played me up. He was streaming, and I saw the stream, and I was like, oh shit, where is this? I typed it in the chat, and he responded with, he gave me the address somewhere in Seoul. I think it was Mapo or something. I don't know. I rocked up next week. I rocked up quite late, so everything was shut down. And then I'm like, oh hey, this is just me. I just want to check this place out. And he was closing up shop. And he's like, no, come on down, let's get some games. I was like, oh, okay, sweet. And then he just turns all the lights back on, turns all the machines on, just for me. It's just one guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was so shocked. And he's like, all right, sit down. He had the setups done on like actual arcade cabinets, which was pretty cool. And then we played. It was my birdie against his Karen, and I went 30-0 against him. And then he said, can I put you on my team right after that set?
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then ever since then, I just played for him in all the local tournaments over there under his name, sort of like promoting the local scene too at the same time.
Nice. I want to start a bit of the discussion of regarding Street Fighter V. Like initially when it came out, you guys have been in the scene enough that like it's a new game. Like whenever a new game comes out, like it kind of almost levels the playing field for everyone. But you guys have like risen to the forefront of like the Australian talent. I just want to know what you guys like attribute to this, given like a legacy skill helps a lot with some for games, but Street Fighter V plays very different to Street Fighter 4.
With me, with Street Fighter in general, each Street Fighter title is its own unique game. There's no real legacy thing that can really help you, I suppose.
Okay.
Like Third Strike, ST plays different from Third Strike.
Obviously,
like,
yeah.
Third Strike plays completely different from SF4, and SF4 and 5, they're pretty different as well. So, legacy-wise, like, I guess some fundamental stuff like with punishing, spacing, space control, corner control, that's all very important and all, but each mechanic is of each game is very different. And I think I attribute my success to the fact that I played Street Fighter 3, and coming to Street Fighter 4, I remember when I first got into Street Fighter 4, and with Street Fighter 3, you can jump at people and you can kind of parry if they try to anti-air. And I remember when I transitioned over to Street Fighter 4, I got really mad at the game. I'm like, why can't I jump at people? Like, I just want to get in that ass. But yeah, Street Fighter 4 really taught me the whole aspect of respecting anti-airs and how to like how to get in, how to play neutral, and how to like get in, like how to earn your way in. And so because of the learning curve of like me, I guess the learning curve of just telling my ego like each game is different, that you have to respect each game as its own, and you can't assume like just because you were like really good at the previous game, yeah, you're guaranteed to be good in the next game. And I think that's the key as well. When I transitioned to Street Fighter 5, I was able to play Street Fighter 5 as its own game, and I didn't really like assume as much of the experience that I gained in the previous game would matter to
Mhm.
to the current one. And I guess
Okay, you done?
yeah.
Fuck, because that old man talk was getting fucking boring. Holy shit.
That's fair.
Jesus,
Like,
Grandpa ZG about to fucking put me to sleep. I'm just kidding. I love it.
no, I know. Sometimes I babble a bit too much, but
No,
yeah.
no, I was kidding.
If it's,
I
for
just
what it's
wanted to
worth, I
rant.
enjoy your babble, ZG.
Look at this guy trying to be a sucker to him. Pathetic.
You gonna answer
In
the
terms of me-
question?
In terms of me, I don't think. Stop being a bully, RF. You can't LMAO. By the way, before I proceed, just to let everybody know, everyone who's watching and possibly watches the VOD of this in the future, Darren is actually a organ smuggler. He knew how much the price of a kidney costs on the black market. He fucking told me. This guy is on some next level fucking shit. Yeah. So
Jesus.
anyone out there, you think he's your friendly Tekken TO
Uh-huh.
or Dragon Ball fucking TO? When he's smiling at you, it's not because you're ready for your pull. It's because he's eyeing that kidney of yours.
Holy hell. Alright, that's information I'll put to the side just in case.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I didn't really play Street Fighter 4 that much, so I didn't really have any legacy skill to bring on over.
Mm.
And I think that's actually with with how new players work in general. So like CG started First Strike, and he was pretty good at it, So I don't know. With me, I just got into the groove of things, and it just started to work out. Like there's just like this moment where like a lot of the times people go like, why am I not improving? And they're just looking at the big picture. They're not looking at like where we're at in the beginning and where they're at now. There's like if you really look at where you were when you first started playing and where you're at right now, no matter what your skill level is, you will notice a difference no matter what it was. And I think a lot of people tend to forget that. That's the biggest key, because success breeds more success, and realizing that yourself is going to get you feeling a lot better, and then that in turn is going to sort of put like a chain reaction domino effect kind of thing in place, and then it just goes on from there. When I did my first fucking cross up, Jesus Christ, the cross up, I was like so hyped. I was like, holy shit, you can hit on the other side in this game, And like when you sort of pump yourself like that a bit, like you don't want to, full blown ego and like stroke your cock, but you want to, just realize that those improvements are being made.
Take away the little victories.
Exactly, because that's in every facet of life. You can't just straight go from, some guy who just started their job, who's come off at uni, and they're gone into a graduate role and expect to become the fucking GM in like 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same shit with this. It's basically the same. And once I hit that point, once I sort of had that click, I still remember it to this day. I remember the match. I remember the whole thing. Then that's when you go, okay, wow, huge improvements have been done until this point. So no legacy skill. I guess I'm just really good at this game. I don't know about Street Fighter 6.
No, I agree with that. But one of the things that in WP that always like gets a smile out of me is when I see people like say, "Oh, how can I compare to someone like ZG or some? They've got like 9 years worth of FGC experience," and I'm just like, when it comes to Street Fighter, I guess it may be true of Tekken. I'm not like too sure or how important legacy skill is. I heard it can be.
It's a lot more important than Street Fighter, because like the different iterations of the game don't really deviate from that much from each other. But
yeah, with Street Fighter, for example, like they'll just complain like we have like so many years of experience to catch up, and I just laughed and I just point them out to someone like Travis or RoF. They're like, these guys literally started in 2016, and look how good they are. There's no excuse.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you gotta really be true to yourself. I think that is the biggest key with success in any fighting game. You gotta just really be true to yourself, and just analyze your gameplay. Like, what are you doing wrong? How can I improve better? It's not because like me and some we're doing well because like we were good at the previous game. No,
Mm-hmm.
we came into this game like at like the same level as everybody else. All right. So, and like I said, Street Fighter 5 plays like pretty different from Street Fighter 4 and 3. So it's just really, I guess, having the right attitude and mindset. That's the key to success.
Yeah, I think a lot of people undervalue like the amount of hard work like top level players like yourself in Australia put in. Like it just, you know, it's not like just all comes naturally. You guys put in the work, guys put in the hours, you grind. So,
I think if you think of this whole process as a grind, you're never ever going to be good, ever. If you call it the grind, or you think you're when you sit
but
down in
grind
that
is a
chair,
loose term.
like
Like I,
I just mean in general, because a lot of
mm-hmm,
people like they'll type in Twitter, or they'll type in Discord, they'll be like, oh man, got to get on that grind, got to get on that grind, and then they
mm-hmm,
like flip this switch in their brain where they got to start sort of practicing. I think that's completely wrong. I think you should be number one playing for your enjoyment, which then leads to improvement. Because a lot of the times when I was playing, I wasn't sitting down thinking, okay, in this session, I'm gonna go ham and get better. The, a lot of the times I'd be like, oh, okay, in this session, who gives a shit if I lose? I just want to anti-air with I don't know, who's got like three anti-air options? Birdie, okay.
Just
He's
an
got
anti crouch heavy punch
yeah,
for the
crouch
grind.
heavy punch or
mm-hmm,
bullhorn or crouching medium punch, right? So okay, I've lost the match, but I've anti-aired crouching heavy punch like 6 times.
mm-hmm,
Now in my next game, I'm gonna be able to anti-air with crouching heavy punch more consistently and potentially win the game because I'm not really, you know, on that sort of grind mentality. I'm just, having fun and
mm-hmm.
seeing that I'm having that. Oh wow, okay, cool. Oh, okay, cool. Wow, I'm actually doing it. So if you're putting that mentality into your brain from the beginning, I think it's going to be a lot harder for you. I don't think it's impossible, but I think the journey's going to be a lot harder.
I definitely agree that you gotta like enjoy what you're doing. Like you do better when you enjoy like what you're playing and the time that you spent on something. And with that, I also would like to add that improvement is a lot easier when you play objectively rather than just grind. When you
Mm-hmm.
say grind, right? It's like to me that's like
Look, it's just
mindless energy.
like
Yeah, yeah, I know,
yeah,
I get you.
mm,
But like, I think some players also they don't realize this. They just keep playing and like over and over. They're just sinking so many hours, but they're
mm-hmm,
still like falling into the same traps and flaws, and they're just not rectifying like all the mistakes that they've been doing for the past like say week or so. They still have the same weaknesses. Where with me, like if I'm losing, like I'll look at the replays and I'll objectively like identify at which point where I'm taking the most damage and where I'm losing at. Is
mm-hmm.
it set plays? If it's set plays, go to the training mode and learn that set play so you learn how to defend it better. Are you like getting crush counted too much at a certain point? Stop throwing out too many buttons. Are you losing to jump ins? Like anti-air better. Play objectively. Each time you play, have like a goal in mind, like what you want to achieve. Just like what Christian said. Like sometimes when I feel like my anti-air is like against a certain player is like really bad, I make sure the next round or the next game I focus even more on the anti-air. Like even if I lose, at least I can say to myself, I shut down this option. And through that aspect, you're able to like chip away at like little flaws one at a time
Mm-hmm.
until you eventually become a more complete player. And that's like I guess how I get into the groove of new games. Like I learn how the basics first, like what my character does, the move sets, the combos, the punishes, and then when it comes to neutral, you just basically learn based on experience and objectively complete goals to complete yourself as a better player.
Do you feel like that philosophy applies to like all players or ones at specific levels?
I find that works for all levels, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Nice. All right, you guys. come Street Fighter Five was the start of a lot of people getting sponsored, especially in Street Fighter. I think you guys were a couple of the first. You would with Darksided and you would order. RoF, do you guys want to go about how that came to fruition for both of you guys and what it's meant for you and the opportunities you've had?
Okay.
Um,
Oh, you go. Yeah, sorry, held us first.
no, you go first. Like, you go first. I just gotta.
What?
I'm just gonna go. Hang on.
Yeah, okay.
No, you go first. You go first, Christian.
Okay, cool. All right. Oh wait. Before I proceed, RF, how do you land command grabs so frequently? Good question. I'll come back to that later.
We got questions at the end. I'll keep that one. for
Okay.
later.
Oh, okay. So this is I haven't seen this podcast.
Yeah, it's all good.
I don't watch your shit.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. You're not a part of the organ stealing business, are you? Okay.
Well, I'm from Nigeria, so be wary.
So it's just money. All right. Yeah. What was I saying? It actually didn't start with order. It started with masterminds.
Oh, that's right. I actually remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and how that started was, there was an event at PAX for the Street Fighter 25th anniversary.
Mm.
And at that one, I was like, okay. I think it was after OHN, I believe. Or, was it? ZG, do you remember if Throwdown was after or before OHN?
It was after. It was at PAX, end of the year.
Okay. Yeah. So it was after OHN, and I find out about this tournament. I see, oh, look at this. We invited top players: Somniac, ZG, BK Sama. Who else was there? Falco, yeah. And I was like, huh. Okay, I'm looking at this list. I'm like, what's the biggest way I could take the piss out of this whole event and make it look like an absolute meme fest, right?
Oh Lord.
And I was like, well, you can't really do it in the gameplay. You can't do it in the gameplay. You got to show it yourself, right? So I thought, how can you do it? How can you do it? All right. Well, I guess you could look like a bit of a douchebag. And how can you do that? Well, I have a jacket that's from the movie Drive. Have you seen the movie Drive?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling's jacket. I have that jacket. I have the Drive jacket.
Best Grand Theft Auto movie of all time.
It's actually one of my favorite, top 5. Anyway,
Pretty good.
so I had the Drive jacket, and I was like, okay, this is good. This is a good start. How do I complete the look? And that's where the sunglasses came from. So I rock up wearing these, orange aviators with, a Drive jacket, go on stage, get top seed in the pre-tournament, pre-top 8 tournament, because they had like a round robin thing to seed the players. I got top seed on that one, only losing once, and then go to, all the way into my match against Somniac, where he's up. It's actually funny. It's sort of like when Takedo was playing against Mena RD at Capcom Cup. I sort of like to compare it to that, because in that one, Mena RD was down 2 games.
Was that match point, wasn't it? Takedo's
Yeah, 2 games, and he was a round down with no health, and it was exactly the same against Som as well. He was up 2 games, a round, and I brought it back, and I reverse 3-0'd him. And then just at that point, it just blew up from there. And then, I got second at that tournament, which I had no expectations going in that at all. Like I thought just breaking top 4 was going to be enough, but even getting second at that was just insane. And then I get a DM from Polter, Mad Dog he is, and he's like, hey, I want you in my team, you want to discuss? And then we talked about it, and then I signed on with Masterminds, and literally straight on after that we went to Evo Japan, and it just went from there, and now I'm with this one, with Order. So that's the whole journey. And I think if it wasn't for the sort of theatrics I did at PAX, I'm 100% certain, because I've confirmed with multiple people. I'm not going to go into the specifics.
Yeah.
There's some details that were thrown around where people were saying not to sponsor me. So.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of figureheads. So, they were saying not to sponsor me, But it was only because of that. It was only because of me putting on a show while I was playing that Matt Maxwell Poulter
Yep.
wanted me on his team, and
Mhm.
then he was just like, come on, I really want you. I like your attitude and how you're doing while you're playing.
Mhm.
I think you would be really good for the brand. And then it just went from there, basically. Travis was recommended. I wasn't.
Yeah,
Say
I was
what you
about to
will
ask
about-
with Travis. Sorry, you go, ZG. Yeah.
I was just gonna say what you will about Christian and ROF,
Mhm.
but the guy knows how to market himself.
No,
and yeah,
100%, 100%.
credit to that. Like, you'd be a fool not to have someone like Christian on your team if you, especially with the skills and the charisma that he does have. He is a front runner.
Yeah.
Anyone who says otherwise is a fool.
100%. I think it's taken a long time for people to realize, probably too long, but it's not just gameplay that matters within
Yep.
our industry.
Correct.
Yeah, and finding that out made me realize that my gameplay alone would have absolutely not gotten me to where I am right now at this point.
Oh, it might have. If you won, you might have. Like, let's be fair. Like, BK got sponsored directly because he won that tournament.
BK got recommended though.
Yeah, he did get recommended, but at the same time, he won, so he got recommended. Like, he wouldn't have been picked up if it wasn't for that tournament. I don't believe.
Okay.
Like, I know after he won that tournament, there were eyes on him instantly, just because oh, he's going to France. He's got a free ticket to France. Like,
Mhm.
gonna have eyes on our org. So everyone were just jumping into his DMs left and right. But yeah.
Yeah. Like just a random question. When you think like real charismatic um players within the Street Fighter scene, like who comes up?
You asking
Of
me or
course.
you asking ZG?
I'm asking both of you.
Well, Christian is like the forefront.
Exactly.
Like, right now. Somniac and me, we're just like based on like legacy from all the years that we've been around.
Yeah, everyone knows that you're very good players through over the years. But if you wanted to pick up a personality because they put themselves out there.
See, that's the biggest issues with the FGC, like is
Mhm.
in terms of sponsorship, is not too many people.
People do
like,
that?
Not too many people put themselves out there and try to market themselves better.
Mhm.
Would you agree with that, Christian?
Yeah, okay, that's the polite way of saying it. Yes, I agree.
Dude, be brutally honest, all right? We
No,
don't hold punches on this podcast.
Yeah, this is the beast stance.
Dude, this is the base stance.
It's just some people just don't know how to fucking talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's list off the things. Basic essentials to succeed in life in general, let alone get a be charismatic. Whoa. Fucking have a shower. That's the first one.
Oh.
Well, if you suddenly look at your little dingaling and you see some of that cheesy undergrowth there, mate, oh, you're a fucking filthy little fucker. All right, so get your ass in the shower, wash your ass, clean your fucking bo, spray some Axe if you can't afford blinks, and okay, now you can actually stand next to someone. So that's step number one. Then sort of develop the social skills to start talking. I feel like a lot of people just don't have confidence to talk about themselves and say who they are and say what's on their mind, and you shouldn't really worry too much about that, because just be you. Don't be a fucking cunt. Obviously that's normal, but just don't be afraid. Like, just go out there and talk. Like, I was reading, what was it, yesterday on the Discord. I saw one of the other guys was saying like, oh, top players are like unsponsible. You can't touch them. You can't talk to them. They're on a whole nother level from us. And then somebody else said it. They're like,
Just
no,
go out and talk.
yeah. They're like, no, I spoke with RF. He's a pretty chill guy. Like, he's just like me. He's just like you. I went up to him. I asked for games. He's like, yeah, we're cool. We played a bunch of sets, and he said thanks for the games. I said thanks, and that's it. We talked about the game when we were playing, what I could improve on. This is what that guy was saying. So if he didn't do that, then he wouldn't have played me, and he wouldn't have learned something, and then he wouldn't have leveled up. And sure, there's that factor of leveling up and all that, but how are you going to level up if you're not playing with players who are at that skill level where they can actually educate you and take you to that next point if you can't even approach them.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like a lot of people don't have any confidence in themselves, and people should just have it. It's easy to say, but honestly, that's
Definitely easier said than done.
It
Yeah.
isn't done. I think like you're touching on like not everyone has the social skills where they're confident enough to like act in that manner, but obviously one of life's essentials, social skills.
I think
Yeah.
when it comes to like sponsorship things, right? Like yes, skills is you know, you need to have a proficient level of skill in what you do
Mm-hmm.
to play and can compete, right? But also you gotta like you're a lot more attractive to sponsors when you can like offer something of value, whether it's your branding or you make content or you just like you're a presence that you can utilize for your can be utilized from the org that you're representing, right? Like people make like look at Waz, like where he's come from and how he is now.
Yeah.
He makes like so many for the last like 2 months or even longer than that, but he's been doing so much Mortal Kombat content lately. It's just insane. Like his um exposure and his branding is just like up like what is he now? He's like 2,000 something followers, right? 2,500 or something.
Yeah, on YouTube, his YouTube following has just grown ridiculously in the past couple of months.
Yeah. It's like I think these days a lot of the players they want to get sponsored, but I guess
they're not doing anything about it.
they're not doing
Yeah,
anything.
they're doing
Or it's for the wrong reason. Or
But
they just want without putting in work or anything. It's just,
that's just everyday fucking life, man. It's not even
I
about
know.
FGC. It's like just put in the fucking effort in anything and you're gonna get results, right? Like weight loss, move, have a nice diet, work, show positive work ethic, show motivation, show determination.
Mm-hmm.
It's all those kinds of things. It's just basic human functions that you need to be doing, and fucking do it. I should be a psychiatrist. Whew.
No, but
Yeah.
I get that. There's some people who, I guess it is a common thing in with gamers as well. A lot of them are more like socially recluse, so it's a bit harder. Some of them might have depression, for example, or they're just dealing with like mental issues, so they can't like really put themselves out there. But I guess at the end of the day, it's about looking after yourself first, right?
Yeah.
True. I mean, like the FGC, speaking specifically to the Australian, because that's where we are. Like encompasses like a varying group of people. I think you have your top player talent, and then like people mid player talent who like this the dream of being sponsored and whatnot is like alluring, and they just don't know how to go about that and find out what the best way is. So I think
It's actually interesting. Like really recently, there was like I remember when there was just general news of all the upcoming like Street Fighter tournaments, for example, in 2018, the one with like Cyber Games with Gfinity and all that. So there was like a bit of a rush of all these like orgs looking for new players and stuff, and a lot of them were like out looking for players. Like they want a bit of that piece of the pie, right?
yep.
So they're going out and about like who do we sponsor? Who do we sponsor? And the thing is, sometimes there are orgs out there that want to sponsor players, but they don't know who to look, and sometimes they get lucky. Being recommended by people that can offer them something, and other times it just blows up in their face. So I guess sometimes if you really want to be sponsored and you believe that you have the talent and you have like and you're actually deserving of getting that, then I think sometimes it's better if you approach them rather than like going around and just shooting blanks trying to find like random players, because you'd be surprised how many like orgs throughout like the last couple of years that I've heard or known that are just looking for players, but they don't know who to pick up. So they just like randomly ask in like in a forum or a Discord, like, "Oh, hey guys, who are the good players here? Who can we pick up?" And then you just get like people like throwing out names where there's just not a good fit for the org, I guess. So sometimes I think you got to identify yourself and you gotta be honest with yourself. Like if I want to be picked up by an org, like what can I offer them, and what can be beneficially be achieved for on both sides, right? Because it's a
You know
give
what
and
this
take
sounds
in the
like?
end. What?
A resume.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Sometimes you just, you know, you just need to email them, like ask them, or just like show them like what you can do for them and what they can do for you, and then you just point out. And sometimes it's better just to be honest with it.
My fucking point. Basically, my whole point. You know, like you can't go hand in a resume to work and be like, "Hey, my work experience is nothing. Hire me." It's like, okay, yeah, your name's Christian. That's cool. And you're from so and so. That's cool. Anything else you want to give us? Nah, that should be enough. Yeah, thanks. Hope to hear from you in 5 minutes. Thank you. Like, no. So it just always comes full circle. It's a question that's asked all the time and answered so many times, yet nobody just wants to listen, because the hardest thing people have difficulty in applying in everyday life, I found, from observing other people and from just noticing from conversations and such, is having drive and passion in anything, in any facet. And that's the biggest issue, is when you don't have the drive, you're not going to do it. You don't have the passion, you don't like to do it, then you won't do it. And
Mhm.
put those two together, you're not going to move anywhere. You're going to be stuck in that same spot.
This reminds me of about 2 years ago. One of my CEOs for Darksided, they were at a IEM Sydney, for example, and there was this dude that came up to him, and his name is Moops, and he's from the Heroes of the Storm scene, and he thought that with his team, like he had complete faith in his team, and he proposed to my CEO at that time that maybe Darksided should pick up a Heroes of the Storm team. So normally, like, teams that want to be sponsored, they expect orgs just to, like, the top teams. They think that they'll probably get picked up if they just wait. They just sit around and wait and let their achievement show
Speak for
show.
themselves.
Yeah, and sometimes, like I said, like you just like you're you're really a speck in the ocean, like, you know, like sometimes you're just not gonna be noticed. So instead of like this guy sitting around and like hoping like the org would notice him, he went out his way just to approach my CEO, Matt, and they just had a talk. And through that talk, he really got he was able to form an interest in the Heroes of the Storm team. And then fast forward about 2 months later, they did get picked up, and yeah, they were quite successful actually. I believe at the end of the year they even made it to BlizzCon. So yeah, sometimes it's just showing the initiative and just going out there and, you know, just putting yourself out there. And what harm can that go, right? Like,
Nothing. There's no negative. There's all positives.
exactly. Sometimes you just got to put yourself out there and, you know, take the risk. It's not even really a risk, right? Because you're not really risking anything. It's just just got to put yourself out there to be noticed.
To be honest, it's fucking common sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that. That's it. And that's actually one of the hardest things people have a hard time understanding. You know.
That's right, Statics. The worst thing that can happen to you is rejection, but really, is that really anything really bad? Because
Yeah.
you got nothing to begin with. So rather than like sitting there and just waiting for something that may never come, at least put yourself out there. And if you get rejected, at least you know, and it's not like something you will regret later down the line, thinking, what could
What
have
if?
been if I just, I applied myself.
Yeah. This is very inspirational.
I'm sure someone's gonna
Welcome to
listen.
our TED Talk.
I'm sure someone's gonna listen to this podcast and like have it be life changing for them to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to touch on briefly on Gfinity since both of you are part of it. It was quite the spectacle and very different to what I'd say most people are used to as far as FGC content. How was that experience for both of you?
I enjoyed it. It was quite fun. Like, I think my highlight of Gfinity was more that before Gfinity, like the most that you get to see most people in the FGC was probably like twice a year at OGN and BAM, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. Where with Gfinity, we pretty much were able to hang out with like all the best players and just play games with each other for like 7 weeks consecutively. So that to me was the highlight. Gfinity itself though was quite good. It was I think it was very professionally organized. The rules and all that, you know, that's debatable. But at the end of the day, they ran a really good event, and I think all the players enjoyed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I guess from my perspective, yeah, we from the very beginning, because in the first season we were actually mastermind players
Yeah,
playing on order.
I was about to ask that. At
Yeah.
that stage, you were still mastermind. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the first season, we were masterminds playing for order, and we get a bit of like a backdrop, bit of a what they're looking for, what's happening, all their previous discussions, blah 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 blah. And they're like, okay, well, what would happen if we grab you and Travis? And I said, you're gonna win. If you grab me and Travis, you're gonna win the competition every single time. This is literally what me and Travis said.
Wow.
Like, yeah, we said there is no way we will ever lose. Still, we haven't lost. In Gfinity. And then they're like, okay, done, we'll get you. And then
You know, the funny part of this story is like at the time when they were recommending, like teams were asking around like who to pick up. They want to pick up Christian, but they didn't want to pick up Travis because Travis was from Perth, so it costs a lot to fly from Perth.
I heard that was a
Sydney.
factor in a lot of picking up a lot of players, especially in the New Zealand ones.
Exactly, New Zealand as well. Like they didn't want to pick up New Zealand players because it was like 400, 500 a flight each time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you guys are like some of the teams. I'm not gonna name names, but like they just wanted like the cheapest players that they didn't have to fly out.
I don't know.
In
my mind,
I think we all know one team had the same amount of players.
To be fair, it worked out for them. Like somehow it worked out for them because they did quite well, but still.
Dude, I don't know the budget on a lot of these teams, but
yeah,
$400 for ghost chips, for example. Like to secure like a good place because he's one of the top players from there, and
of course he is the top player there.
Yeah, pretty much. So
what do you mean $400? What do you mean?
No, as in like his flight. To fly him out to represent you.
Auckland is about 400, 500 return each week.
To increase your team's chances of winning for $400 by securing a player like of his caliber, it doesn't seem like much. I'm just
So I remember like a few of them like they wanted to pick up Christian, but they didn't want to pick up Travis. Not because he wasn't good, because he's like one of the best players in the countries. And I'm like, you're a fool if you're not going to pick up Travis. He's one of the best in the country.
Basically, I said I'm not playing if Travis is not on the team.
Exactly, as he should, because it's like.
That was my stipulation.
I'm just glad there's loyalty here, and he's stuck with his boy. It's good. Like, but I'm like, just thinking to myself, like, especially some of these teams, though, like, they're just saying, yeah, we want Christian, but we don't want Travis because he's from Perth. It's too expensive. I'm like, you guys are stupid. Are you really want to win? Do you really want to win or not?
That's basically what we said. I said, do you want to win? Yes. Well, then you know what to do. And we won 2 seasons in a row. Simple.
That's not to say that we didn't have confidence in our own team. Like at the time, Som and BK were at a good spot as well, so we were quite confident too. Like we're like, yeah, we should win. Didn't work out that way, but at the same times,
I think the community at large like was the winner there. Not to sound cheesy, because one, there was like good exposure.
Yes,
on Street Fighter, and I was glad like some players did it more than others, but made the most of that opportunity at like putting themselves out there. I mean,
I totally agree.
You're on the internet like continuously. People are tuning in. Maximize your opportunity there.
That was
And
actually definitely one of the best things about Gfinity. It actually gave a lot of the newer players a lot of exposure. Like guys like Damas, guys like Bugs, like they really brought them straight
Fucking
into
calls
the
him
scene.
bugs.
They brought them
Oh.
more exposure into the team, so it was really good. I was happy to see that.
Mhm.
Prime example, I guess, is from Gfinity was where I don't know if you know Neon Verte.
Yep.
He's a Colleen player from America. He found out about me because of Gfinity. And that sort of blew up with the people knowing me in America.
Mhm.
So I think it was, and also High Fight started following me because of Gfinity and retweeting my tweets and following my content now as well. So
There you go.
so that's if that doesn't say it, then I
Yeah,
don't know
you
what
have to
will.
be aware. Yeah, 100%. That's the best example.
Speaking of high
Yeah.
fights, you know how I got followed by you? I was like a training dummy against Cien, like at the first ban, where I couldn't do anything for like 20 seconds. Like Cien did like this fucking string where everything was no like plus that I didn't like. There was some fake strings that I didn't know when to challenge, but he basically put me in a block string for like 20, 15 seconds, and I just died from there. And that was high five clipping me. That was my first clip, my professional clip of me getting fucking on high fight was me.
Dude, take it, man. Some top players have never been clipped. Take it.
Yeah. Oh no, wait. I think the first time. No. Yeah, I don't know. It's Gfinity. Or Tokyo Game Show where I beat Sako. I think that's where he followed me. I don't know. Somewhere in that period. It was that whole like Twitter clip of me playing against that birdie player in the mirror where like I did like 5 fucking random resets on him and like was bullhorning all his block strings when bullhorn wasn't even like legit anymore. So that one was like I actually went into that match going, how can I make it memorable? Like, how will people remember this?
Mhm.
And I think I successfully did that because people weren't able to see my match against Sako. And then, it just rocks up on stream. It's like, oh, this is RF, the guy that beat Sako.
Oh,
And then
such a sloppy, man. It was such a sloppy ass game.
yeah, it was all done on purpose. And then as you see the gameplay unfolding, like it looks like just, some guy who just picked up the game. You can hear the commentators going, "This is the guy that beat Sako." Like,
It was such an ugly match. It was two
it
birdie
was
players.
perfect. It was perfect. That
It
was
was
my
right. It was
intention.
a birdie mirror, right? I think it
It was a
was.
birdie mirror. Yeah.
Fuck, it was ugly.
Yeah. And I had every intention of making sure that I could meme the fuck out of that to its maximum potential, and I did it. And that's another way of like going into it and thinking, how can I further this to help it develop me and my brand. So that was another step I took in that direction.
Has the international travel been helpful? Helpful. Obviously, it has. But has it been something you've been wanting to do a lot more on the regular? Obviously, you've had the chance, ZG through Darksided, and when you went to Red Bull.
Yep. Red Bull Kumite last year.
Mm-hmm. You've been.
Um,
Yeah. Go on.
the truth is, like, when you go there and you play, like, you definitely level up. But the thing is, like, how much can you really level up within like 3 or 4 days of the tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much can you really absorb and bring back? So when I go there, I definitely try to play as much as possible. Like, especially not just even at the venue. I remember when I was in Tokyo Game Show, I was in Japan with RoF last year. They went to go drinking like one night, and I stayed back at the hotel, and I was connected to the godlike pocket Wi-Fi,
Yep.
and I was just playing online there, and I would just get like a match every 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Over here, sometimes you have to wait like a match like every 5 to 10 minutes even. So it's pretty bad. Like because of that, I hardly play rank like in Australia
Mm-hmm.
at all. Where over there, I was just able to consistently practice and grind. Like I remember there was like a couple of nights where I would play from about 11:30 or so p.m. at nighttime. That's when these guys went off to go get a drink, and I would just play, and they'll get back around about 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning. And they'll walk into the fucking room. They're like, "Are you still playing?" I'm
No,
like,
see,
"Yeah,
Sam said the
fuck
same
this."
thing about getting consistent matches while he was in America.
it was just too addictive, you know. It's just so fun as well. But yeah, in terms of like leveling up, I guess yeah, you definitely level up because you get to learn different play styles, not just matchups, but you also get to learn like player matchup. Player matchup is very important, especially in Street Fighter Five.
Mhm.
Like
It's
you
more
gotta know
important
how
than
to,
character
yeah.
matchup.
I wouldn't say it's more. I'll say as about as equal. I would say, but yeah. Um, but coming back to Australia, um, you gotta you gotta think about how you can bring that experience back. And I guess it's kind of hard because they
Yeah,
don't really play how the international players play.
I
So you gotta
agree.
like you have to play a different way against Australians as you would against like other players.
I agree with you in the aspect of time. Like a weekend tournament isn't enough to learn like optimally. Like
Yep.
Sol was on the podcast a while back, and he said he would like to see people like players go outside of tournament times to go and get the experience from international players and different countries in that format.
Here's the biggest issue with that currently. Other games actively have a scene that helps promote and send out players to do these kind of boot camps.
Yeah, the boot camps.
Perfect fucking example of the teams. I mean, the teams that are in my organization are League of Legends and Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
Overwatch players and League of Legends players, if they're in a decent enough org, 90% of the time they're going to get boot camped, and the organization is going to fund that.
Yep.
Like they'll send them to South Korea, they'll send them to potentially US, they'll send them even to like a different location in Australia to get better ping.
Mm.
If overseas players, like with with us, because of how FGC was built and established, it's not like other esports games where when they were they were funded by large organizations with huge money, went boom, here's fucking $5 million of investment into your esports business, let's blow this shit up and make it popular.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody did that for fighting games when it first came out, because obviously, number one, I don't think esports was big back then, so it's not like it would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from maybe Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike did get a lot of money from a lot of organizations, and StarCraft. What am I even talking about? No, people still put money back then as well. It's not like they didn't. It's just with the FGC, I think. I don't know. I wasn't from back then. Maybe they were too tight knit, or maybe nobody gave a fuck.
No,
Or
they definitely
There's
didn't.
the
Flesh
community
out
is too
the
small. The community, the genre of the game is too small compared to like something like
In-
League or StarCraft. It's just
Yeah, but the thing is, the reason why those games are big is because they have big organizations that put a lot of money behind them, right? Like the Overwatch League is, in Australia, yes, it's happening, but you got a company like Blizzard who's just mad pushing it. Like the amount of money they put to make sure that this gets that marketing and that recognition is a lot.
Having
For
said
the
that,
for
that it's a double-edged sword though. It's sometimes I like something like Blizzard, for example, right? You, you might like talk up how good Blizzard is with Overwatch, but on the flip side, did you hear about what happened with Heroes of the Storm? Like that was a scene that was kind of like artificially grown through Blizzard money, and then one day Blizzard decided like, oh, we don't want to support this game anymore, so they dropped it. So overnight, like all these casters and all these like team owners and team players and coaches and stuff, they were out of a job within overnight, and that happened like as soon as like I think on BlizzCon, like the night of BlizzCon in 2018. Like
That's a
over
fair
the
example, but
yeah.
I still think it's 1 in 100.
Uh no, because then you look at like scenes like PUBG as well. Like they had all this money and shit pumped into it,
It's
and
still
then
getting
overnight
pushed.
it does get pushed. But then you look
It's
at
still getting
like
pushed. Even at the
you
Oz
gotta look at
scene,
the
Oz
trend
scene's
of
like not even that large, and it's still getting pushed.
yeah. Then you look at the trends of things. For example, like a game like over Fortnite, for example, it takes over as like the number one like battle royale games. So I think it's more healthy that the FGC was able to grow organically without like outside interference, and then it gets supplement like backing from Capcom afterwards. I think it's more healthy when the scene itself is grown like organically on its own foundation and like on its own feet, rather
Yeah,
than being like
I think it's
pushed.
good where we're at, but we can't. We like in terms of like where we are as people in daily lives. Like if somebody said to me, man, you should boot camp. Why don't you just go, stay overseas and play a shit ton of games? It's like, I have a job.
We have a job, and it's like,
I need to get money, right? I need to live,
Mhm.
if you go to an Overwatch player, they can be like, oh, so when are you going to boot camp? Oh, I'm going to get boot camp, and I'm also potentially getting a wage as well associated with that.
Yeah.
So they have it better off than us to have that particular opportunity of like going out there and being able to grind and boot camping. But we have the flexibility of where if people with money and sponsors don't want to come into FGC, we can still do it ourselves. But with those kinds of games, it's a lot harder, which is what ZG brought previously with like Heroes of the Storm and all that. It's been dropped, and you know what, nobody cares anymore. So stuff like that. But with us, we got it pretty good in that regard. But in another regard, as in terms of leveling up, it's either you're a fucking godlike player like Taquito who can do it full time and will get paid for it, or you're a salary man who's doing this on the fun as well when they get home after work and they're playing that game, and you're not going to go into boot camp ever.
I don't think that's like an Australian problem specifically. I think it's like a problem
It's an FGC
worldwide.
thing.
Yeah, it's a yeah.
if you've got
That's
like
why I just
someone
mentioned Taquito, because Taquito's the best player, like one of the best players in the world. But even a lot
Well,
of the
it's like-
American players, they don't get that.
well, that's like that. Wasn't I think that example of Knee, for example, Knee lost to the Pakistan player, right?
Yeah,
At
Arslan.
Evo Japan, and then and then he got like super inspired, and he's like, oh, I want to go to Pakistan now to boot camp for a while. I guess you need to have like, you got to be a specific type of player that's doing really well and have a good financial backing behind you to like root yourself and move to another country for like, well, not even move, just like temporarily go there to boot camp for a while. It takes a lot of resources.
Yeah.
And you got to be doing
AKA
it full time. You can't do it as like someone that's like working. It's very hard. Like if you want to boot camp and root yourself out and go to another country to train, you got to be doing it full time. You can't be doing it like half-assing. You got to be doing FGC full time. I meant, like if you got a job, like how are you gonna find annual leave to be gone for like 2-3 weeks, multiple times a year? It's impossible.
Do you think it's a foreseeable thing in Australian FCC future anytime soon?
If you're doing it full time and you got the fun and the org and financial backing, sure, go nuts. But realistically,
If you're on the level of Taquito,
yeah, if you're doing it really well, like sure. For example, like sometimes once a generation, you'll get someone like Menard, or you get someone like Angry Bird, who like pretty much lifting the entire scene on their own shoulders. And then they'll get like the recognition, and then they'll get the support that they need to do what it takes to be the best. In our circumstances, like I don't know, it's hard to see that. But
and
you know, things can change.
to be honest, though, I think the point of being in Australia is actually also a factor.
Yep.
100%.
Japan has a local every day. Like we have in Melbourne, CCH every 2 weeks. Every second Saturday of the month. So it could be 3 weeks. Like that's what we have in terms of offline grinding sessions.
Dude, do you know how sad it was when Level Up Infinity like closed down?
Oh man, yeah.
Do you know about my story about that? Abby?
No. I found out while I was overseas. I think when I was in Tasmania for TFC.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Tell the story.
So what happened was like
Just a
because I saw that
preface for those that don't know. Level Infinity was an internet cafe where like a lot of the FGC guys would go to play offline. It was very good location in the city and pretty good fees for playing.
they even had like sticks to rent there as well. It was pretty damn good.
100%.
But yeah, like I noticed like there was like a gap, and I wanted to like level up the Melbourne scene even more. And I'll notice CCH would run like every 2 weeks. So maybe with the off week, we can like start meeting up on the off week to play with everyone, just like an excuse to just to be together, to level up and play. And yeah, so I organized it with everybody. I told them, okay, not this fortnight, but in 2 weeks' time, let's meet up there.
Yep.
And like we waited, like we were just doing our own thing until that week, and then like the day before we were supposed to meet up, which was like supposed to be on a Friday, so on a Thursday night at 7 p.m. I reminded everyone on Discord. I'm like, hey, remember to go to the thing tomorrow that I said I'm like organizing. And I go to Twitter and I type up that tweet. I hit enter, like everyone meet up tomorrow. And then I scroll down after I hit enter, like literally 5 seconds. I see Level Up Infinity saying, "Oh, we'll close shop." I'm like, what the hell?
Oh, dude, I think I remember
Talking
those
about
series of
fate, man.
tweets. Yeah, I was definitely in tabs with Yusuf and the boys, and we saw like that timeline of tweets. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
oh shit,
sad.
this is
Really
awkward,
sucks.
man. I literally scrolled down for like 5 seconds after I hit enter, and that tweet is like, "Sorry, we're closed up shop. Thank you for the support throughout the last few months." I'm
Yeah,
like,
they weren't even open
shit.
that long.
Yeah,
Just sucks.
that place really was a gold mine. It was like right in the heart of the city. Like,
It was next to the old arcade.
yeah, it was like 350 like for an hour. It was so cheap.
Yeah, it was
They probably
pretty.
should have bumped it up a little bit.
It was pretty much the yeah. Honestly, like I know the circumstances behind their finances, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
the
a
only way that
shame.
the scene can level up, I guess, in that aspect is there needs to be a facility that allows players to gather up and to play more. Like
Ye-
CCH is, thankfully, that's still there. But for us in Melbourne, it's like once every 2 weeks. So
Honestly,
it kind of
I
sucks.
love CCH. I
Yeah.
love that it's an outlet, but I don't think it's the most optimal place to.
It's too busy these days, I guess. Yeah. That's why I
No, I
really
don't think
envy.
that's what he means.
No,
Yeah.
no, not just that. It's just the environment. I feel like it depends on the person and depends who's going, but the environment,
You think it's too chill?
yes,
Yep.
yeah. But like I love Munnins. I love that. That's a thing. Like I'll never stop going. But if specifically for the point of leveling up, focusing on like what you need to improve on, I feel like it's not the best environment.
For
I'm not.
me,
Yeah.
that comes down
See
to
where you're
each
coming
player, though.
Mm,
It comes to like each player's goal. Like if you go there for a specific reasoning,
mhm,
what I was saying before, like
mm,
sometimes I play objectively. Like if I go to CCH, there's certain goals that I want to like accomplish.
mhm.
I don't just play for the sake of just playing for fun. Like yes, I do play for fun, but it's like even though I'm playing for fun, there's like goals and objectives I try to achieve every time I play. So
100%. But when you go to CCH, you have to keep in mind that like there's a limited amount of setups. Other people are like, oh, I want to play too,
yeah, I
and
get you.
yeah. So it's just that. Like I don't want to. I'm not shitting on CCH at all. It's just yeah. Like I don't know. You guys have been to BKB in Sydney, yeah?
Yeah, I was gonna say like that's the one.
That is like
Thing
the
that I
optimal
envy.
place. That's just
That's the thing that I envy the most about Sydney. They
100
have like a
100%.
weekly venue that they can
I
just
gotta,
go
I
to.
gotta, I gotta, I want to like make a mad roast. They got the best venue, but we're still the better players.
Well, I'm sure you
Come
guys
on,
can.
Sydney, you shit cunts, hurry up.
You can say
The
that.
other good thing about Sydney is there's another guy. Shout outs to Brad to Fangria,
Mm.
on Twitter. Like he's like opening up in his own like venue as well. So Sydney's got like so many options these days.
Mm,
No,
yeah.
not even just for like places to play offline and that BKB because it's just in the way of I'm not sure if it's the case for Street Fighter, but in the way of actual tournaments, like for Tekken, there's 3 tournaments every week at different locations.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so there's always an avenue to
They
play.
got BKB, they got YSB, they
B,
got that Fangria thing, they got the Newcastle one, they
they
got
got B,
Expand.
yeah,
Oh, that's
they got
that's
BRB
5.
now. They got
BRB,
Bankstown
that's
Rambats.
6.
That's the
Um,
one thing that I'm very envious with the Tekken scene is like you guys
6,
don't
and you
burn
guys still
yourself
fucking
out.
suck, hey?
so,
Yeah,
Like
you guys
so
count?
yeah, yeah,
6.
they have a
See,
lot going on. Sorry, what did you say,
that's
ZG?
that's one of the things I'm very envious about with the Tekken scene is you have all these tournaments as well, but you guys don't burn yourselves out. Like I don't know how that's possible because like back in the Shadowloo Logic days
Mm-hmm.
when we had that our own like HQ in Footscray and we ran tournaments every week,
Mm-hmm.
people would just burn themselves out and they eventually it was like really popular in the first like month or so, and after that, it just eventually died down slowly. Like players just didn't want to attend tournaments every single week, so it started to be bi-weekly, and then it eventually became like once a month. So yeah, the fact that you guys have like 3 different tournaments in a week at different like areas, that's pretty damn impressive.
I know, it just speaks to the hunger of the players now.
Yeah. Shout outs to the Sydney, like not the Sydney, the Tekken scene. Fucking Tekken scene is really good. I wish we had a player base that is that hungry.
I think our player base is a lot younger though, and I think that's the main reason.
I don't know. I found that with Tekken, they were able to draw in a lot of crowd, like new players and old
Yeah, we
players.
have.
Like for example, Dookie is like, and Rumors, they're like avid like Tekken players now as well. So Tekken really was able to.
I don't know. I wouldn't
Okay,
count
I'm not gonna like say if they're good or not. I'm just saying they were able to draw in like and keep like retain players, like Rumors and Dookie. They still enter Tekken. They still play it on a regular basis. Where like I love the Street Fighter players, like the guys that don't click anymore, they just won't play anymore. So that's the
Well-
thing that Tekken did really well. They're good at retaining and just have a lot more new blood flowing into the scene.
Do you
Just look at the
do
band
you- do you-
numbers.
do
You
you
got like 200 something.
Do you attribute
Nah,
that
it's
to
got
the
nothing
game, to the game,
Nah, it's got nothing
ZG,
to
or
do
to
with
the
the
scene?
I don't know. It might be both.
Yeah.
Like from everyone that I heard with Tekken, the Tekken scene is Tekken 7 is absolutely amazing. It's the best Tekken so far.
Mm.
Would you say that's true?
I think, look, objectively, yes, it's the best Tekken for the generation at the time now. Yes, it's the best Tekken.
See, not only is it like a good scene, but it's also a really good game that a lot of people welcome in. Like that's
Because there's 2 things, right?
Right.
Okay, if legacy Street Fighter players and OG Street Fighter players have a hissy fit, and you're 30 fucking years old, and you're having a hissy fit over a game, then good fucking riddance.
yeah, I
Get out,
agree.
Okay,
I agree. I totally agree. Like
that's one.
you can't keep up with the new game, then that's your fault.
Yeah. Then you bring it back to Tekken, though. Tekken doesn't do that to its legacy players. Tekken is sort of a bit smart with it because they're actually keeping, as Abby mentioned, legacy skills.
Yeah,
So
Legacy.
there's never going to be a situation ever in the history of Tekken ever, up until this point of our chat that we're having right now, where a player is going to go, I don't like this game's mechanics, because there's no such thing, because the game's mechanics are like 90... Okay, I'm sorry, I don't play the game as much. Let's just say 80% similar.
No, that's
to the
fair. That's
previous
it's fair assessment. Yeah.
It's a fair assessment. Maybe
Yeah.
I could go even higher. Maybe 90% similar, right?
Probably fair assessment. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is never going to be that situation where the player base will decrease, right? The player base will always be consistent no matter what happens, unless there is a drastic change where they could go, hey, I don't like this bullshit, I'm out. So
I could actually see that. I
that's-
could see that, especially since
There.
each Street Fighter is different. I get
yes.
you.
Now see.
So that's one point.
Mm.
That's one point. Then, when you have that amount of players consistently playing the game over the course of a long period of time, then you build passion for that game with a long history of players who play in a dedicated, mindset consistently, who can then go to new players. Man, this game is great. And that's also going to be causing a chain reaction, because
Yeah.
those players will do it with other legacy players.
Yeah, shout out to Ant-Man in the chat, by the way. Like, you guys that you will know Christian, but Ant-Man was originally a Tekken player himself. He was
He
Yeah.
like one
brings
of the
up a
prodigies of the Tekken scene.
he brings
back
up a
in the
very
days.
good point. He was initially, like, people probably know him most as a Marvel player, but
Yeah, he
before
was
that,
the Marvel god at the time.
but before that he was a Tekken player. And he dropped the game for ages, and he's come back and he's actually doing pretty well, just because, like you mentioned.
Exactly.
Do you remember Pegasus last year? He just randomly just fucking entered again and became 30 to one with like, should have been like $250. Fucking Ant-Man, love you, bud.
Yeah, he's a mad cunt. But
Mm.
anyway, as I was saying, then that situation, bring it back to Street Fighter. New game, new mechanics. That hissy fit cunt who's 30 years old and doesn't know how to grow up will complain about the game and be like, there's no neutral, there's no it's not my Street Fighter back to 4, I go,
I want a red
like,
parry.
that person is going to vocalize that opinion out loud, okay? Then a person that likes Street Fighter 5 will also vocalize their opinion out loud. New player comes in, sees these 2 points, conflicting arguments, and goes, do I really stay? Do I really stick with this? So that's already 2 points as to why Tekken is popular. Tekken is a good game, and it's got a great scene, but with the way it's going about developing that game, that's why it has a larger player base, and that's why it has a larger community, because the community can actually stick around and play rather than fucking whinge and be babies about it, and then have that impact on newer players who are observing and potentially want to come in but are not too sure, and then they start to hear that shit, and then they start to hear this shit.
Yeah, the
So
negativity,
that's the
especially
biggest reason.
the negativity in Street Fighter 5, especially when it first came out, was definitely well earned. Like, Capcom really fucking dropped the ball on the launch of Street Fighter 5, and it's starting
Street
to
Fighter 4 launch
stabilize
was
now.
fucking ass, man.
No, Street Fighter 4 was actually, it definitely wasn't a balanced game.
It was
but
a broken fucking mess.
it
More
was a
broken
different.
than 5.
It was a different time because there was a Street Fighter drought for 10 years, for 9-10 years. So when Street Fighter 4 came out, all the hype,
that's true.
nostalgia, it brought back a lot of the players. And say what you will about Street Fighter 4, like some really like it, some hated it, but that game was able to like have growth after growth every single year. Maybe not in Australia, but in general, like in American scenes, like the numbers would consistently like just grow and grow. And then Street Fighter 5 came out, and it kind of just slightly halted the momentum.
It's because the internet wasn't as prevalent back then.
Of
Twitter,
course.
Twitter, like salty Twitter posts wasn't as prevalent back then.
Oh, it
Now you do a
definitely
salty
was.
Twitter post,
but
you get
it's definitely
I
more.
don't know.
Social media
You
now
barely get-
definitely is a lot more prevalent. I agree, but there was
Yeah.
definitely still like Twitter like guys back then, man.
Yeah, of course it was still there, but you're not going to have that random scrub online who's going to complain about the game and just have a multitude of them who just go
They
in and
bandwagon
attack
the
it.
hate. I know a lot of
Yeah.
them do bandwagon the hate, and that really like puts a bad stigma into it. But
There's a lot of factors, and I think because of that's another example. I think there's more points to it as to why the player base isn't as large, and it's only because the people playing it are not doing anything about it. And this, again, if you're fucking 30 years plus and you're whinging about a game, holy shit, check your priorities.
not
and
even
just-
30, man. At any age,
At any
You're gonna
age.
commit. You're gonna commit like your time into a game, and you're just gonna complain like that.
But it's sort of the like it's bringing it back to like my legacy point. That's why I'm mentioning like 30-year-old players. Like usually, obviously, there's young legacy players that probably started, you know, playing a game when they were young, like 14, 15, 16. Sure, okay,
Mhm.
cool. But a lot of the legacy players are a lot older. Makes sense. So it's those players that should be advocating future players to be like, yeah, give it a shot, because you know it's not helping yourself. It's not helping the scene that you love and care about. Why do it? You can't answer it because you shouldn't be doing it.
It's ego,
That's it.
man. It's like a lot of them like assume, like just because they were some of the best players of the last game, they deserve or they should be a shoe-in that they're gonna be successful in this game as well.
Which you didn't see during the first year of Street Fighter. I mean, Street Fighter 5.
You definitely saw that. You saw that, but not just Street Fighter 5. I saw that in Street Fighter 4 as well. Like a lot of the OGs of Third Strike back in Melbourne, they were like the best. They were like so good that they were like at the time flying to like Japan for their version of Evo, which was Togeki.
Yes.
Space opera something, I can't remember. But yeah, I remember when they tried to transition over to Street Fighter, they just realized, same as me, like, oh, I can't just jump my way in and parry everything on my way down. They got so fucking mad, and they just like really toxic about it. But thankfully, there was a lot more players in Street Fighter 4, so it kind of drowned their voices out. But with Street Fighter 5, like a lot of like those players that were a lot more toxic towards the game was able to. It's not just them; it's also because Capcom really fucked up and dropped the ball as well on the launch of Street Fighter 5, and so it gave them a lot more clout in their voice.
You feel like it's the game is in a good place?
Just bandwagon that. it definitely can be better, but it's probably in the best shape that it at the moment anyway. Things can always be better, right? Like, I'm not
True.
gonna lie and say it's like the fucking best game, but I'm
Mhm.
enjoying it. That's why I still play it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I just wanted to
What was that
talk.
sigh? Sounds like you don't want to talk to us, mate.
I'm just covering like the questions I had. Like I said, if you guys wanted to bring up
You look at
anything at all.
you look at these questions, like 3 fucking questions with like, you know, 2 dot points in it, right, guys? This guy's barely put any effort into this.
Dude, why are you so hateful, man?
Hate is actually a showcase of love and affection.
fuck. I wish you were in New York with us, Abby. Gotta be a
Yeah.
bodyguard.
I'm really upset that I can't make that. Um, Obviously we're talking about Combo Breaker. Myself, ZG, and a few others are coming back. Going to that. It's a shame that.
I'm actually upset Christian isn't coming with us.
Yeah,
either.
I told him why pick Final Round over Combo
Yeah, I
Breaker.
know. I said that too.
Honestly, why pick?
It's because of Neon. I see you. It's Neon down there. I see him. And stole my Christian away.
Look, you go into an event, you have a fucking local there who can take you around, show you a good time. Why wouldn't you?
Why pick? Hey, I see where you're coming from in that regard, but just
The tournament only lasts 2 days, mate. What are you gonna do for the whole other week there? I'm not gonna eat some fucking bread and just go, yes, I'm having a jolly good old time. I want to, go out, see the place. I'm in fucking America. I want to check out what's going on. Whereas if you go Combat Breaker,
you can't do that for Chicago.
well, I don't know anyone there, and I don't know the locals there. Like, I'd have to.
Oh my god, this guy has to be babysit. Poor you, poor you, poor you. Can't go out and enjoy his shit on his own. Poor you.
You can, but why not have an easier time doing it?
Part of the fun is exploring things yourself. So.
I know. I guess.
Explore it with a guide, a really good guide. We had a really good time in Atlanta.
No, I'm sure you did.
Amazing time. I will never forget it. It's honestly one of the best times I had in my whole life. Like, that was one of the best trips ever.
Look,
and that's only because Adam was there. Hey, Neon.
What are you talking about getting shot?
I know. Look, granted, my knowledge with how dangerous each state isn't up to date, but I take my chances in Chicago over Atlanta. But either way, like it depends. It depends on like your priorities. I mean, like Combo Breaker has always been a high point for me to get to.
Have you been there before?
No.
Did you go last year?
No, I've been to either maybe like 3 years in a row now. I want to say 4, and people always what are the tournaments to go to after EVO, and it's like CEO and Combo Breaker.
Yeah, same.
So I'm just like, why not? And
I'm gonna be real there. Final round was pretty shit.
That's the thing. I've always heard that it was kind of shit, even in the previous years. There's always people complaining about it.
I haven't heard that much complaint. I heard a lot of complaint about it this year, though.
No,
Leading up to it as well. I mean, yeah, leading
it
up
got
to
so
it.
bad last year that the guy, the TO threat, he was supposed to quit. Like the last year was supposed to be the last one, and then all of a sudden he came back. Oh, the year before was it? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And then everybody was like, no, bring it back, and he brought it back, and maybe you shouldn't have.
How is it that bad this year?
Well, no sound on the setups, laggy fucking monitors, 6 casual setups on Sunday. Like,
apparently that's the standard for most American tournaments. Like, there's no sound, no headsets.
Yeah, which is why I'm like quite reluctant to go to America again.
Honestly, I warned you this, didn't I? Remember, I warned you this. We had this talk. Like most American.
You warned me on the sound.
Yeah.
You warned me on the sound. If there was like a potential issue of like Cool Kid's wife or something, that's all you warned me on.
No, I told you as well, man.
Actually, I have a question.
No,
yeah, you finish what you're saying, but I just wanted to know, you guys have been to enough tournaments internationally. How prevalent is sound on just like your random pool setup? Is that
in Asian tournaments? They're always there. The bigger ones, the premier one. The premier ones like Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Seam, they definitely have. I only been to Red Bull Kumite, and that one's like decked out by Red Bull, so they definitely have sound. I don't know about the other tournaments though. in Europe.
In
so I
terms
can't
of
speak
like,
to
there are
Europe.
speakers there or there's splitters there to put your headsets in?
They'll have splitters there for your headsets.
Okay, all right.
But they always provide headsets there anyway from all the tournaments that I've been. It's
Okay.
just Sam told me through all the American tournaments that he's been to, most of them don't have like headsets. Is that true, Neon? American tournaments?
It's a shame, man, because I know one of the reasons why people just take them. So, but
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Darren brings up a good point. The reason why they had clear bags for flying around
Yeah, they steal shit.
was because cunts actually stole fucking PS4s.
What?
Yes.
Actually, oh no, dude.
Fucking hell.
Brings me back to my beginning point:
Yeah.
basic human fucking decency. People don't have it. A lot of people don't. Flying around, perfect example. You need a
You know
clear
what I
bag.
realize? I realize, especially in Aussie tournaments, I get a bit careless with my belongings because I'm a bit too trustworthy and too comfortable. So I gotta really be careful of like where I keep my shit and always keep my eyes on them.
Is that
When I'm in
is that
America.
worry warranted? Have you ever had a situation where like something has happened with your gear?
Not in Australia for me,
Yeah.
but like of the things I've heard about American tournaments, like, yeah, I gotta watch out for that.
Well,
shit.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You
If
gotta be
if I was international, 100%, I would not let any of my shit go. But I'm in my own backyard. I'd like to think no one is gonna take my stick if I just leave my bag over there.
Yeah,
How big's your stick, by the way, Abby?
It's pretty big. Do you want to see it?
Yeah. That's a pretty big stick, man.
Yeah.
You want to see my stick?
Why not?
Oh, all right. Oh, I like his confidence.
I got that stick too. Fuck. Does that work on PC? I haven't plugged into the PC. Like if you
It's a Red Bull stick,
No.
mate.
What brand is that?
It's a Hori.
Yeah, I hate Horis. Have fun with that.
When was that? Did you mod your stick?
Certain someone gave it to me.
Okay. So where's your other Hori, the silver one, the clear one? You still have that one as well?
That's not my stick. Why isn't that my fucking stick down, you organ harvester?
Yeah,
That should be fucking
how heavy is that?
down.
Have you
It's a
messed
nice-
around? Have you messed around with the obsidian? Because that's what I got. Is it bigger?
Smaller.
Okay, alright.
Yeah, I got a Victrix stick as well. I got from America, and I also have.
Jesus Christ,
this
how
one-
much
this
was
one.
that? 500?
Wait, where's
Oh,
your
I
other
got, like,
Hori? The clear silver one, the original one.
Alright, so the reason why I have this one is because I took the clear Hori. It's like a silver. It's normally just like a silver color.
Yeah.
It doesn't have this thing here, but this is Adam's stick he won for winning Red Bull Conquest Atlanta,
Oh yeah, that's right.
and he doesn't play on stick, so he was just like, hey, do you want my stick? I'll swap it with yours, and my one had 2 screws missing anyway, so I was like, okay, fuck it, cool. It looks way better. It's got like, it's got an Atlanta theme. It's got the Red Bull Conquest right here, and I think I'll still be using this in tournament because I prefer Hori parts compared to Sanwa. Trying to get used to Sanwa a bit more, but I think for me, like just pressing Hori parts is just, I don't know, just feels a lot more impactful
Wait,
for
so
me.
you don't want to use the Victrix anymore? Sell me yours then.
Sell you it? Yeah, I'll sell it to an inflated price because it's not even fucking released in Australia yet.
I'll be
No
getting
mates,
this anyway.
no mates rates on that one.
So many people want that stick, and it's so expensive. That's the
It's-
one
yeah.
where that's the one where they do the laser engravings on it, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I'm gonna pick one up anyway in Combo Breaker if Christian doesn't sell me his.
I'm not selling it to you.
Okay.
I'm trying to get used to Sanwa parts. That's why I'm playing at CCH and Rambats and stuff.
Speaking of
Or if you sell it to me mates rates, yeah, I don't think what I could offer you would be enough, and that's my kidney, Darren. So I think we're gonna leave it there.
ZG,
Anyway, continue.
you've got a combo breaker coming up. What other tournaments for the rest of the year on your radar?
Unfortunately, because OHN dates are falling on backs this week.
Yeah, that's
this
rough.
year.
That's
yeah,
rough.
I can't make OHN, which kind of makes me sad because I
Mhm.
really do enjoy OHN.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side, in terms of Australian tournaments, I'm quite happy to see that Brisbane is finally, well, not Brisbane, the Gold Coast this time
Mm-hmm.
is falling back with another event. So we have another major in Australia now, so that should be awesome.
Mhm.
So I think that's in August or June, somewhere around there. But yeah, that'll probably be my next Aussie tournament.
Yep.
And then from there, I'm looking forward to probably go to TGS again with Christian here and Travis,
Mhm.
and then Seam. And if I have time, if I can squeeze in time, I do want to go to the UK regional final ones, the EU one, but we'll see.
Mhm. How
I
about
guess the
yourself? How about yourself, Christian?
oh yeah, there's MEO as well. Hopefully that comes back.
That's coming back. It's been.
Yeah, that's
No,
coming.
no, Street Fighter tournaments. I mean, hopefully that comes back. For Street
I'm
Fighter.
pretty sure it's going to be coming back,
Well, hopefully.
from what I've heard. For me, I think the biggest issue is today I just found out a certain family member wants to travel, so they want me to tag along with them. So
Mhm.
that could impact. I'm not quite sure.
For which
Depends on my
event?
leave, but my family member does want to go to an event. They want to go to Europe to travel.
No, during what time period? I mean, like
July, August.
Oh, you did had Evo on your radar.
Yes. The only reason why I'm not really feeling Eva that much is like after the whole event and all the nightlife shit. Like, what else can you do there? And not much. It's just really, literally a strip.
yeah.
So
I don't know. You'd be surprised. Like Vegas.
Did
I
you
don't
get to
you
go
shove
to
did you,
Grand
don't,
Canyon?
Abby, don't tell me. Did you shove fingers up your ass?
No, not my fingers.
Oh.
Sorry, what were you saying? ZG? Did I get? Yeah,
Grand Canyon.
yeah. That's honestly that's the first thing I did the first time I went. 'Cause,
Jealous, man.
Yeah, I just like to explore wherever I go, and I think I went the first or second day. Like I went with a few of the Melbourne boys. Jonah had been there previously. I'm just like, yeah, if you don't want to come, I'll go by myself.
Oh
Definitely.
shit! You just broke Adam's heart, man. You just told me you're not going to Evo.
Oh, he already knows I'm trying to see my schedule and all that kind of stuff. I already told him. But the initial plan is, because I've been obviously it's we're working, checking my leaves, and
Yeah.
I can
That's the
space
biggest
it.
thing. It's the
Yeah,
leave.
I
man, the leave.
I can space it out where I can go to Evo for about 5 days, which is pretty short for a trip to the US because it takes about a day to fly there.
Yeah.
But all right, cool, yeah, sure. And then I can do about a week and a half in Japan, and then I'd still have a day or two for the Seam weekend trip. So that's what I'm anticipating currently. I'm not sure if that will happen, but ideally I'd like for that to happen. But life, who knows what's going to fucking happen. But nothing will stop me from going to Tokyo. Nothing. I love Japan. Japan's the best.
TGS, Adam. TGS. Let's go.
He apparently he's coming. Apparently Neon wants to go to TGS as
That's
well.
good.
So yeah.
Come to Abby. Let's go, Abby.
You guys both went to Evo Japan this
I
year.
didn't go.
Okay.
I
It
didn't.
was ZG. This year, none of us, me and ZG didn't go, but the year before, it was me and Travis.
Okay.
Yeah.
My biggest issue with Evo, especially Evo, has been on my bucket list as well, but it's like all the way at the very end of my bucket list. Mainly because it's like an event that you gotta experience, I guess, at least once before you quit the FGC, right? It's such a spectacle. You
Kind
gotta
of.
go.
Yeah, it's
But
look.
as
Yeah,
like
you
when I
you
go to
finished.
tournaments, I
Mhm.
actually really want to play a lot, like a lot. That's why like something like Combo Breaker and CEO is like such a thing for me, because when I go, I can just play for hours and hours and hours. With there's so many setups and stuff to play on. But like with Evo, you can't play casuals, right? The only way you can play casuals there is like later at night after the tournament. If you go to someone's like salty suite.
Yeah,
or
you have
someone's
to
hotel.
know someone.
You gotta know people
Yeah,
as well,
especially
yeah.
if you're some random player from like Antarctica who is not famous enough.
Antarctica, fucking.
And just like, oh, like, I'm not on anyone's radar. Like, who do I go to? You're not going to Justin Wong's salty suite, or you're not just, yeah. It's just that's my main gripe with Evo. I mean, I went there last year with Taz.
Well, you went
Well,
like 3 years in a row, so I'm
in-
surprised you kept going. Like, what was your drive to keep going back each time?
I don't know, someone always wanted to go, and I'm like, yeah, because whenever I go to Evo,
Dude, I'm telling you, because he was getting the pingers up his. He's having a good time in Vegas, man. What'd you expect? He's not going for a fucking tournament. He's going because he's having a time with his wife. That's why. There's fucking nothing. Man's got some shit up his ass, man.
Illuminati six buddies. Fucking.
It weren't. It's not that reason exactly, but whenever I traveled, whenever I go to Evo, I'm not just going to Vegas. I go to LA or like I go to a different state. So it's not like any international tournament. Like when I went to first time I went to the Master Cup, which is a 5v5 tournament in Japan for Tekken. I didn't go just for that. I went for Japan and just Master Cup just happened to be there. If I was going to Evo Japan, I'm not going just for Evo Japan.
Exactly.
I'm going because I fucking love Japan.
You gotta make the most of it,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like every time I go to like a new country for these tournaments, I make sure I save up my leave so I can spend like, a bit of time there as well, just to experience the culture, the food, the people,
Mm-hmm.
and also get to meet the other FGC of that scene of that region as well. It's like different
Brings me to
countries.
my point about going with Adam.
Yeah, and Combo Breaker is like the one exception I've made in regards to going international and not like I'm going like 3-4 days early to experience Chicago. It's actually heartbreaking that I'm missing New York with you guys, but it is what it is.
When I was going to decided to go to either CEO or Chicago, I knew I had to go to New York. It's like it's the thing to do, I guess. I'm surprised you didn't go to New York.
No, New York.
Weren't you supposed to?
I looked at it and I was like, I have 7 days here.
Yeah.
Sneaking in a day trip in New York is going to be fucking terrible and I won't like it and I'll be like, New York sucks. So I thought it'd be better to just enjoy Atlanta for what it was, and if I do ever get time to go to New York, I'd just enjoy New York for what New York is.
Yeah.
I feel like if I rushed it, it wouldn't have been enjoyable.
Mm.
So, and I think it was a better choice because that extra day in Atlanta, that last day that we had there, that was a fucking crazy night. Jesus Christ. Not as crazy as Abbey levels, but when,
I know, I heard Atlanta can get pretty rowdy. And
yeah, it was. It was quite this, yeah, that's the best way to describe it. I'm gonna be back.
Well, that's most everything I wanted to cover. BAM's coming up next week. Obviously you signed up for that ZG. I've yet to see Christian sign up for that. I'm not sure. So I'm assuming he's coming. If not, why not? But yeah.
Well, him and Travis haven't even signed up.
Yeah.
It's like.
But that's typical. That's typical FGC.
I don't know if it's FGC, but it's just typical Street Fighter players. They're always fucking.
No.
Last.
That's typical FGC. Always last minute. So.
I don't know, man. Tekken's like showing some fucking love.
That's just because when
that's
you
holy shit.
When you think about the span of how long you've had to sign up in, then it's late. Considering how long sign up.
I think 97 right now, but Tekken's like 200 something.
Yeah, we officially passed last year's record, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the record for Street Fighter 4 was like a full bracket. I think it might have been like 256.
Oh, really?
Cut it off. I think that was like the record of 2011 Shadaloo Showdown.
Mm-hmm.
I could be, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember because when we broke 211 last year, I initially thought that was the highest entered FGC game ever, but yeah, I guess Shadaloo hit 256. 256. Okay.
I'm pretty sure they completely capped it off at 256. There could have been more, but they completely capped it off because it was like they didn't have the capacity in the venue.
Mm-hmm.
Back then we had like CQ, right?
Yeah, which is like it's a big venue, but 256 just for one game.
I think that's been beaten already though, but not for FGC. But if you consider Smash, like
yeah, Smash easy, yeah.
Smash is like 400 something, right?
I did not bring them into the equation because I knew it's just they have that beaten.
You didn't bring me to the equation. It's because you don't think Smash is a fighting game. That's it.
No.
Yeah. I heard this one.
Beast,
somebody told me you said that.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah.
Darren said that.
It isn't. It's Smash. It's completely
Maybe Darren
separate.
would know. Do you remember, Darren? What were the numbers? That one year when I took the fucking photo of like just a swarm of Smash players for Melee, I
That's
think.
hilarious. How about that Smash player shitting himself while he was fucking playing fucking filthy cunt. Oh, imagine his ass after that. Oh, Jesus. Mush and everything because he still
If it-
fucking played his set.
if you're listening, random Smash player that RoF
I heard about that.
is
Some kind of shadow
referencing,
fans
please take
What?
please take his number one point of advice. Go have a shower.
Yeah. Right after you shit yourself playing the set. Also, who the fuck throws a crab at a fucking player at a set out of all the things to throw? These are clear indications that some of these people need some professional help. And now I'm gonna finish off my coffee. I'll be right back.
All
Fuck,
right.
do you remember that one year, Abby? There was this one player that was just sitting in the crowd,
Mhm.
and he had a seizure like in the middle of while we were watching like the top 8 or some shit. He just
Ooh.
had like a seizure.
Was
in
it
the middle of-
Shadowloo?
Yeah, with Shaolu.
Dude,
No one knew what to do. It was like, what the hell? What's happening?
I remember that. I wasn't around, but I remember that. Yeah, like, what do you do in that situation?
Yeah, it's.
All right, dude. We are almost like at the 2 hour mark, so
Oh shit! Already? That was
yeah.
fucking quick.
We're at the now. We're at the segment where I get a lot of questions from the chat to ask our guests. I'll just let the chat know they're free to ask ZG and RoF any questions, but I'll start us off. Hopefully RoF gets back in time for them, but I'll start with yourself. It's one I ask everyone.
60, jeez.
But depending on the type of player, I might not get the answer I want because so many of our players are fucking mature nowadays. But during your FGC tenure, what has been your saltiest loss or most heartbreaking loss? Just one that stands out if you can't remember any in particular.
If we talk about internationally, like I've been for the past 2 or so years, like there almost every single like international tournament that I've been to, I've always lost like in the last game or last round against like a top player, whether it be like Fujimura in 2016, and there was like Gachikun in 2017 and Gachikun again in 2018. I always lose by like the last game, last round in the last few like pixels of health, and that I don't know, it just kind of like it triggers me in the sense that I can't clutch out these moments where, and then I look at things like I look at guys like Christian and Travis, how they're just pulling out big wins on these big players, and I get jealous. I'm like, fuck, I wish I could do that. I wish I can clutch out moments like that.
Yeah.
But there's always moments that you would regret, right? But what can you do? You can
Yeah.
only move forward.
True. I don't know. So depending on the player, some might have that like one standalone one,
True.
but yeah.
Christian losing to Takedo.
Well, before
Fuck.
he might have given him an answer, but I'll ask him the question anyway. Christian, do you have a memorable loss during your FGC tenure that's kind of heartbreaking, or just kind of defining, or just
A
always
memorable loss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess it has to be me. It has to be me losing to Takedo. Honestly, I had that one in the bag, and the reason why the famous combo drop didn't connect is because when I play, I'm like actively looking at everything on the screen, stun bar, health bar, meter. It's like just a proactive kind of thing where my eyes just flick around at those useful elements. I saw it was literally like a pixel away from me getting a bar of EX meter, and I thought after I landed my standing light kick that I'd get the rest of my meter and I'd do EX bullhead to close out the round solid, max damage, corner carry, all this kind of shit, right? Didn't get the meter. Regular bullhead comes out, die.
Well, you didn't die, but you didn't kill him and he came back. He just fucking killed you.
Well, yeah, I died, yeah.
But that's the thing, you didn't need to. You just had to go for like the light bullhorn, like anything. He had like almost no health. Any combo would have killed him. And
yeah,
fuck,
but I don't know.
just
I think
happened.
I was just too proactive, I guess. And maybe that's another thing that where you know, first that was like like when I really think about it, and I want to analyze where I'm at today. Okay, cool. Let's take a look. 2 years, even less. Let's a year and a half. Okay, let's just fucking say it. 2 years, right? 2 years in the game,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to like sound a bit cocky or brag a bit, right? But who's sort of done what I've done in 2 years in a game they've just started playing? Any in Australia?
For Street Fighter?
Any game. I'll say that because I'd like to know. Like,
Probably Spud.
okay, yeah.
Extra.
Now,
Those guys have been undefeated for the past like 3 years, winning pretty much.
not really
National
undefeated,
Fight.
but more like when, like,
Also outside of the game, I think he's referencing as well.
no, yeah, sure, but like
I don't know. Spud is pretty high up there.
Steam was like what, like my 1, 2, maybe 4th, 5th major my whole life, right? And 4th or 5th major, and I'm at that situation where I actually technically beat Takedo. Now,
Nah, you didn't. You didn't beat Takedo, man. Sorry, you can say that. You didn't beat Takedo, mate. Nah, mate.
ZG laying down facts, man.
Let's keep it real, bro. We're keeping it real.
Keeping it real.
what the fuck do
I
you
could have
think
said
of the
I could
quotation
beat
marks for? Do you not see
Gachikun.
the webcam?
I could have beaten Gachikun so many times. I could have beat Human Bomb, I could beat all them, but I didn't. So let's just keep it at that.
Anyways, before
No,
he
I
goes,
see what
I'm just
Christian's
trying to
saying.
like, from my perspective, I'm not actually familiar at all with those situations. Like, I think I was too
I said that,
into
Daniel.
that.
Bud. Yep.
I think I was too into that game. I was too invested in that match. Whereas I feel like if I was a lot more relaxed and laid back and chilled and was just taking the game step by step, you know, realizing what's going on a lot more in a more, I guess, sensible, relaxed kind of manner, I think I would have easily won that. And that only comes from experience. And I no excuses. I lost, but my thing is I'm so new to the scene that for what I'm doing right now, I think I'm extremely happy with it, and I'm not. After the loss, I wasn't actually that upset, to be honest. I was actually pretty flat about it. I was like, okay, I lost, whatever. Move on, because me actually getting to that point in the match where Chiquita was literally a pixel away from losing to me was actually a win enough in my eyes, even though I lost by thinking about it. And then the more I thought about that match and the more I thought about my journey until that point, the more I went, there's nothing to really be upset about, because everything up until this point has been immensely good for the amount of time I actually spend on the game. And I don't spend a lot of time on this game. I don't play the game as much as a lot of people probably do and invest. You know, job, probably not giving a fuck sometimes to play, hanging out with mates, playing other games with other friends. You know, it's just everything up until that point was irrelevant, because I realized the journey I took to get there was to get in that particular situation at that point in that match with that player. Probably wouldn't have really happened with a lot of other people, but for me, I'm extremely thankful I did get to that position with how it happened and the end result with it. So it might be my greatest loss, but meh.
I think the biggest cool moment for you was probably your match versus Sako wasn't streamed. That was one of the biggest regrets. Not the Takedo match for that one. It would be nice to watch.
Yeah, that was that would have been good for somebody to record, but somebody had to sleep.
You
He's a bit
tell
tired.
me, man. Fucking hell.
I don't know, man.
So that wasn't recorded at all on anyone's phone or anything?
Everybody
No, I was in
fucking knew my first match was Sako.
Because
Everyone.
Travis and Mim went to eat, and I sat down for a bit. He walked off, and apparently he had to play his match. He didn't tell me he was going to play his match, so he played.
Oh, so unlucky.
He comes back with a smile on his face. I just beat Sako.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the little shimmer in his eyes. You're like, oh, that's cute.
Shout out to your boys choosing to go and eat over watching that game. Shout out to them. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, shout outs to Travis and Mim. Fuck you both.
Mm.
I remember that match vividly, and the you could possibly consider it like a detriment to him that he didn't really know what kind of player I was. But I remember in a lot of his recent matches that Sako really loved to do sweep into activation because I don't know, he really liked it. +1 block. If he gets hit, you get knocked down into a setup, that kind of shit. So I knew the exact distance and timing, and I think it was he out of every single sweep he did, I forward jumped, full jump in, punished, comboed it. He did not land one sweep activation on me because I knew every single timing and and the literal spacing on where he'd like to do the sweep, and I jump over and Birdie jumping combos of like ridiculous damage. It's insane. Like he hits a jumping combo on you, it's like a lot of health, and he gets Oki. He gets really good Oki off it as well if he ends it in Bullhorn.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the read on his Manat. Maybe he didn't have the read on me, or because he never seen me play before or anything like that. But I was just that was a time where I was not so invested in the game, and I was like really relaxed with my playstyle, and actually playing that quite properly, like not being too stressed, not being too invested, actually seeing what's going on in the screen, taking it step by step. That was one of the few times I played like out of my mind, and literally when I won that game, I was nearly gonna cry. Like I was it was just so surreal. Like you see the KO and the crowd was dead. There was a fucking shit ton of people behind me, like a lot of people watching, and all the Japanese spectators see it, and it's like literally for 5 seconds nobody's moving, like nobody's making a sound, no one's moving, everybody's just staring, and then Sako turns to me, shakes my hand, and then you just hear like this slow clap like that, and it gets even faster, and then everybody's just going like that, and all the Japanese players are tapping you back like, oh wow, sugoi, and all this kind of shit. And then I was just like, holy crap, like I felt like my shoulders were about to collapse, and I just had that little like teary kind of thing go over me. But I was like, oh, settle down.
That's definitely your biggest win ever, yeah.
I think it was funny. A lot of people
Probably
ask me
most
like,
meaningful win, right? Your most meaningful.
yeah. A lot of people
Probably
ask
not
me
his
what's your
biggest
big.
win, but most meaningful win. Yeah.
A lot of
I
people
could
ask
see
me
that.
what do you mean? Sorry.
No, I'm just saying like it's probably not your biggest win, but probably your most meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me what's your biggest achievement, and I say to them, oh, I think it's winning 5 consecutive majors in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them actually go, no, it's you beating Sako because no one else has beaten Sako in Australia. So I go, okay, that's interesting. I thought winning a lot of majors in consecutively would be better, but no. Funnily enough, a lot of people would consider me beating Sako a greater achievement than me winning 5 Australian majors in a row.
Consecutively, yeah.
Yeah. Which I get, okay, but that's good too. I've beaten K-Brad, I've beaten Storm Kubo, I've beaten a lot of the good players, I've beaten Itazan, so...
That's like the opposite of me in tournaments, like MOV, Gachikun, Fujimura, all these guys, I always come from like a fucking touch away from piecing them out of the tournament, but I just couldn't clutch it out, and that always like leaves like a sense of stinging regret on my part. I'm like, what I could have done better, and why I always like ask myself like what I could have done to prevent this shit in the future. I don't know. I just keep falling into the same like situation, and it just stings. But I'm just glad that Christian was able to pull it out when he could.
What, against Sako?
Yeah, well, not just Sako, like all the other players, like K Brad and stuff like that. You didn't choke. You do what you need to.
Yeah, it's hard to go in with a particular frame and mindset from the previous match that you played really well in. I feel probably because there's not a lot of experience yet, but like there's a really good Ibuki player in Japan called Narikun. I think he's like the second best after Fujimura. I beat him at Tokyo Game Show, and
Was
I
that
was
in
going through
tournament?
yeah. Went through my whole bracket, Daikoku go and all that kind of shit. Go back to Narikun, and he just, I don't know, just got me, and I lost. I was out of tournament. I was like, whoa, the fuck just happened? And I was like, oh, it's okay, it's Ibuki, and that's the story.
I got another question for both of you. We touched briefly on the issues of a boot camp. If you go to select 5 Street Fighter players, and where would you take them to go level up? And
It
who?
has to be
Yeah.
Japan. Japan is like the best place you could get matchup experience. Japan and America, to be
No,
honest.
sorry, I didn't phrase the question well. Five Australian players for the sake of leveling up for boot camp. Who would you take? And obviously, answer is Japan.
Ah, so who would you take to
Yeah,
Japan to
yeah,
play?
to go level up boot camp wise.
See, I'm like a big believer in nurturing like the new blood.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would definitely like to see the newer guys get the opportunities to travel to these places to get uh the experience, especially the character specialist players. Players like Shenkan, for example, who I think is very talented. He's just has a bit of a roadblock on some of his key plays that's holding him back. But players like him, I definitely would love to see have a lot more opportunities to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously like Christian and Travis, they're also like really new to the scene. So I love it whenever I see like guys like them getting opportunities to travel more and more. So yeah, for me, maybe Christian, Travis, Shenkan, who else? The other five. I wouldn't include myself or Som just because we've traveled enough to kind of like we don't need to be in that position. Like it'll be nice to boot camp with you guys and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see a lot more experience given to the new blood, like the players that actually want it as well, like actually want it.
Yep.
Who would you say?
Abby, how old do you think I am?
Me.
No, how old do you think I am?
How I know I'm bad with this question on all fronts. Uh, 20, 28? Like I said, what? What? Am I wrong?
Is it the receding hairlines? The baldness creeping in? Is that why?
What are you, a lot younger? Sorry.
24.
24. Alright. Sorry.
Yeah. A lot of people
Yeah.
think I'm old.
It's the
So
mustache.
who would you bring with you to a boot camp overseas, Christian?
Oh, fuck. I'd bring players who I see have potential.
Yeah, the thing is, there's a lot of players that definitely want to go, but I don't believe too many players like really have that certain hunger. Like I would love to see Ghost Ships going, for example. Ghost Ships is another one of mine. Ghost Ships, Shenkan. I would love to see more experience given to Christian and Travis. Luckily, they're in the position where they are right now, where they are given that opportunity. But if I was to exclude them, definitely those two, Shenkan, Ghost Chips, Panda. I'd love to see Panda being given the opportunity to go as well. Who else? Who else? Rumors. I definitely would love to see Rumors given the opportunities as well.
I think Kadzao.
Yeah, Kadzal's an up and coming.
Kadzao has the biggest potential out of every upcoming player in this scene. I think if Kadzao stopped,
He's got a good mentality as well. He's got a very good mindset. I love that about it.
no, he does a lot of things where he's like, oh, what if I just neck myself? All this kind of depressing shit. If he changed that mindset, I think he'd be one of the top players because he just gets too emotional in the game, and I think he's got the biggest potential. So I'd send Kadzao first. I'd also send Shenken. So I agree with CG on that one. I think Shenken is also really good as well. He just, I don't know, something stopping him. Phew, Rups.
Yeah, Rups.
Yeah, I think Rups as well. Rups. The thing is with Rups though,
Sometimes
I
I
don't-
feel like he's playing like too casually.
yeah, yeah.
He doesn't play to
yeah.
win. Like he definitely doesn't.
Yeah,
He
plays
does
to
some
have more
questionable
fun
stuff
than
like
win.
that's not optimal. He just does it because it's stylish, for example.
Like in Gfinity, he would let Abigail's animations run through. So Abigail does this thing where he does like the punches, like ba 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 ba, Abigail punch, right?
Mm.
You can cancel. He does an animation where he just goes like this, like he does a little like this, and he like looks at his fingers and his hands for like literally like 5 seconds. You can cancel the animation. You can walk forward, dash, whatever, but he'll let that whole animation run after the move and just
It's like,
stand there
gives up pressure.
and
He
do
gives
nothing.
pressure.
Yeah, he'll give up pressure just to have a laugh at and enjoy his game a lot more. So just based on that retrospect, I probably wouldn't send him, but it has that. Two more. I guess me and Travis. If I was to put, because me and Travis are still young. We're not
Yeah,
that.
they're pretty young.
We're
That's why
quite.
I included them at the
Yeah,
start.
a lot of people think we've been in the scene for ages, but we're one of the. I think we're. I think I'm newer than actually a lot of the other people that are even younger than me.
Well, that's
But
what
then
I
we went
alluded to
into
at the start when I said like some of the players, in the Discord, they're like saying how can we ever catch up to someone like Som and ZG when they had like 9 years worth of like FGC experience. I'm like, look at Travis and RoF, they're at the top of the game as well, and they just came into it like a year and a half ago. So, if they can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not just specific to Street Fighter. That's on all accounts.
Yeah, even you can do it, man.
If I
I'll
want
let you
to.
know, Abby was actually the Zangief for the first 3 months. Street Fighter 5.
100%, 100%. Now that you bring that up, dude, Street Fighter isn't even my game, man. I was top 8 at a Couch Warriors round. Look, whether you want to say that's an achievement or not, I don't give a fuck. I am claiming that. I took a round of Somniac, all right.
Bring some anthems.
during the premiere launch of that game, all right. I will hold that forever, all right. But yeah, but then yeah, Tekken got
If we're talking
released.
about achievements that we can brag about that we don't play the game in, how about me getting second at Soul Calibur launch? I never played the game, no legacy skill. Literally picked up the game on the day, beating legacy Soul Calibur players
He came second.
and getting second.
With a broken character, I might add.
Doesn't matter if you know how to play the game. You should
No,
beat
all
me.
right. I'll give that to you. I'll give
Yeah.
it to you. Let's finish off these questions. Berserk's asking I think there's a double question. Who among the Aussie Australian scene should get the trip to Evo? And who would do best?
Just depends on who wants it more on the day, man. That's a loaded question, I think.
I guess.
I'll say
I
me.
think any of the top contenders in the thing would do well. Like I'll be proud of any of them.
Mm.
My answer.
Yeah, top players basically. If you want to say who would do best, then it's the people who are doing the best here.
I got one from Joski here. You talk about a what if boot camp a lot, but what do you think can be done to emulate that locally? What can be
Well,
done to emulate that locally?
That's
can it
already kind of been done like right now in Sydney with their example, what we talked about before with the BKB tournaments and with the double KO one that's been run by Fangria.
Yeah.
So Sydney has like basically 3 outlets to play now. So they have those 2, and they also have YSB, which is a monthly thing. So like that bootcamp thing might not be possible for most FGC players in Australia, but what we can do locally, some scenes do have access to it, and you just gotta cherish it, I guess. If you have it, cherish it. That's why I do cherish CCH a lot, as well as the like every monthly that we do have of Couch Warriors. So without those 2 things could have been a lot worse. Our scene could have been a lot smaller and weaker than what it is. So thankfully
does he
we do
mean-
have those outlets.
Is the boot camp locally or internationally, to be more specific? Internationally.
No,
I think.
locally. He's asking what do you think can be done to emulate that locally in Canada?
Basically just a centralized hub where people can just practice and just like get together, share ideas, share matchups, and just play with each other to the extent where they can just like grind it out. I know you hate that word, but it is what it is.
No, I mean, like, I'm just trying to understand what he means by locally. Does he mean locally developing something that could send us to overseas boot camps, or locally just developing something here? That's it can be interpreted both ways.
I think I'm chancing a guess of what he means because it's always been brought up that Australia needs to travel to get better.
I would actually attribute like one of the biggest driving force of growth from Travis is not only that he's strong. He is very strong in his own right, fundamentally, but also the fact that he lives in Perth. So on Perth, like a lot of the Counter-Strike players do this as well. They go to Perth specifically because they the ping towards Perth and to Southeast Asian countries like Singapore is a lot more bearable than from like Melbourne or Sydney to Singapore. And getting access to play with those players, even just in against Singaporean players, is fucking amazing. It's invaluable.
Is that something he does on the regular?
And because he has like top tier internet, so his connection with Perth from Perth to Singapore, sometimes it's hit and miss, sometimes it just doesn't work out, but other times it's very playable.
Okay.
And because of that, he runs into quite a lot of like the top Singaporean players there as well. So he's able to not only play but also assimilate like their play styles and just like, you know, you're only really as good as your competition, right?
Yep.
So in terms of if we can assimilate like that type of boot camp, I would say get like the best performing fighting game players, and maybe if we can't move them overseas, then to boot camp them somewhere like in Perth for like a week or so.
Tippity top of Queensland or some shit.
No, I don't even think Queensland is any good.
No, I mean to get that connection with Asia.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think they even get good connections to Japan or anything.
Oh, really? Fuck. Okay. Yeah, probably something to do with like the routing and the wiring and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh well.
It's a shame, but
Yeah.
that's the things that we have, and just got to make the most of it. So, like, I know like this happened in the past with my Darksided Counter-Strike team, was that they got boot camped up in Perth or Queensland for a while, and they were just practicing grinding out games against the Southeast Asians and shit. So it was quite valuable for them. So I'm guessing that boot camping experience can kind of be done, but it's just, again, it's still pretty expensive. East side to west side, like flights are still at like what, 400 return, right?
It's actually cheaper for Perth to go to Singapore.
Yeah, that's right.
Than
You
to
can
come-
actually
than
get
to
flights
come
from
to
Perth to Singapore for like 250 return.
That's ridiculous.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Cheaper to go overseas than your own country.
It's ironic, right? Like in the FGC, it's a bit of a meme to bag onto the Perth scene, just because like the connection to us is like it's never good. It's like
It's
most
like
of
a
the time
different country.
Yes, and we always tease the Perth team, but in reality, like if they have NBN, which most of them do in Perth, like they actually have the best chance of having like the strongest competition, just because of the access, the easy access to like
Singapore.
Singaporean and Southeast Asian country players. I'm very jealous of us, Travis, for that aspect, but I'm not jealous of him living in Perth.
Amen,
Fuck
dude.
Perth.
Amen. Amen. I love Melbourne. I think I've been in every major city in Australia, minus Perth, and just
It's funny, even Weng is originally from Perth. If I ask him, fuck Perth, he's like, yeah, fuck Perth.
RoF, I've got this question from an avid fan of yours that I just have to get across. So, can you explain what Tekken gameplay is to you?
Feels like dancing.
Tekken,
a lot of
Tekken is 50-50 in neutral. It's a consistent 50-50 neutral, meaning is it hell sweep or is it upper? Am I going to launch you or am I going to sweep you?
Is it 50-50?
Obviously.
It's reactable, right, Abby? All that stuff is reactable, right?
Depends on the move.
I've seen top level players get hit by fucking hell sweep non-stop.
Hell sweep is probably not. No, it's not reactable. It's too quick. Maybe on the maybe on the highest level you can get a good read on it. Maybe
but it's not on the same extent as like MK10, right? With like full screen fucking overheads from like Takeda and shit. You can't react to that.
No, the 50-50s in Tekken are like when you get hit by a low, I understand they're not as damaging, and a lot of Korean and Japanese players consider getting hit by lows as chip damage. Understandable, that's fine, because there's no chip in the game apart from like a few rage arts and shit like that. But the fact that you're standing in like such close proximity and you always either have to worry about getting hit up or low, that's literally a 50-50 every single time. Am I going to block low or am I going to block back or let go of the stick? Because if you don't hold the stick in the direction, it blocks automatically, whatever. So I'm not saying it's like legit, like, oh man, you get hit once, you're fucking dead, bro. 50-50, you're done, man. But I mean, like, in neutral, consistently, you have to worry about taking House Sweep does a nice amount of damage for what it does. Gives you an insane amount of corner carry. Wall combo damage is actually really good if you get wall carried off a low into the wall. So I don't know. I Tekken is a good game. I'm just saying, like, it's consistently high low. Like, what's that guy's name? Low high? He knows what's up. It says it in his fucking name. I think he understands that's what the game is. Really, it's really that. And there's also a lot of fundamentals involved, and there's a lot of footsies and all this kind of bullshit that fighting games have. But I think there's a consistent state of 50-50.
Alright, well, he answered your question. I hope you're happy, avid fan.
Is he talking shit,
yeah.
Abby? Do you agree with that? Tell me. Be real.
Low high says it has it in his fucking name.
That could reference anything. I haven't. Oh my god, this question juicy. Are you guys fond of eating before a tournament? And if so, what would you like to have for breakfast?
I definitely eat
Alright.
breakfast, but I don't eat anything before. After that. Like, I don't like to feel super bloated, but I definitely need to eat something in the morning to, like, you know, at least be content to survive the rest of the day.
Okay.
Right now, I just want like a camera in every single Tekken person's home who's watching this stream right now, and I just want to see their reaction to what I just said, because that will make me so happy. That will be a good breakfast.
Alright, before we end up, Christian, I wanted to get from you just a little explanation on the offer you're giving to one lucky Street Fighter attendee at BAM, because it's really a good thing you're giving to a member of the community.
Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to be sending a player to Singapore to play Southeast Major qualifiers. So we already had the first part of the qualifier. It's a two-part. First part was at the Couch Warriors Rambat.
Mm-hmm.
Rups won that one. So Rups gets put into a spot where he's sitting at the top. And he's got that spot there. Now how it works is the person who wins that tournament at the Rambat, plus the person that is the highest placing non-sponsored, so there's no sponsor players allowed in this whole thing, non-sponsored player at BAM plays against each other in those two spots. Now, if Rups is the top spot at BAM, Rups automatically qualifies. He's in. He gets sent.
Yep.
If multiple people get a same spot there, then if it's two people, they just go at it like in the first to three. If there's a lot of people, then we have to go through a bracket, eventually find the end result. I highly doubt we have to go to that. I'm pretty sure it'd either be one or two people. And then the last two people will play in a first to seven. Winner of that goes. So if Rups wants to solidify his spot as, you know, the person that's going to be sent to SEAM, he also has to perform at BAM and be the highest placing player there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about how could I include other people from other states across the whole country, because some scenes don't have a local that could allow them to do this kind of thing. So I just thought BAM would be a good way to get them involved. If they want to come down to Melbourne as well and fight for that spot, they can do it too, because it was open to all Australian residents. Then that could happen as well. But I just thought of a way of how can I also include the rest of the community while being fair and not having that bias of if you have a tournament, then yeah, but if you don't, then tough fucking luck, buddy. You know. So it's Australia only, so New Zealand, fuck off. But it's more so to develop the Australian scene, and it's been really good. It's been great. I really love seeing Cadsell playing. at the local tournament there, and he really pushed and he really showed a lot of emotion in that. It was the first time I've heard him swear. The guy's like a freaking angel. He doesn't say anything bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I was.
He's the opposite of you, mate. Fucking hell.
It was good. Nah, he's a cheeky fucker at heart. I know.
Yeah, he's the cheeky.
But
Get to know him.
it was good to see. It was just really good to see that he's come a long way, and he actually, after watching him play in that tournament, he actually gives a lot of fucks about this scene. So it was really good to see that. But Rups won that one. Props to Rups. Congratulations to him. And it's whoever wants it more is going to take it. It's just simple as that. We've been discussing for the past 2 hours and something minutes. So yeah, that's the whole gist of it. Because I sort of had this feeling. Yep.
No. Okay, sorry.
I sort of had this feeling because of Cyber Gamer. Probably not going to happen, you know. And I sort of had the anticipation that a lot of other tournaments wouldn't happen this year as well. Thought, what's a way that we can grow, develop, and have a tournament that people can look forward to? I'll do this.
Can I just want to add? This is probably something I should ask, because a few people did bring this up in the Discord, and not to sound like ungrateful or anything. Like shout outs for you for forking out the flights and shit. But some of them were like asking about accommodation. Like since that's not covered, have you maybe considered if it's okay if they could stay with you if they win, or are you?
If I'm going, but the thing is, I've thought about, okay, we could go for a respectable flight because I've set a budget to this.
Yep.
Because I'm not moving from that budget because, you know.
No, that's fair enough. It's your budget.
Yeah.
I'm not.
It's
fucking
out of your
motive.
own pockets. Yeah, that's fair enough.
So there's a budget to it, right?
Yep.
We can negotiate on what flight you want to get on. If you want to get on something that's more ass, and sure, we can put that on you, and we can alleviate some of the money allocated towards that to accommodation. But if you want a nice flight, realistically speaking, it's going to be a bit pricey. So
I think they'll be okay. Like as long as like.
No, it's totally up to them what they want.
No, that's awesome. The fact
that's why
you have a bit of negotiation and wiggle room, it's good.
Yeah,
because then
I don't mind.
There's quite a few of them on the Discord. They're like asking, "Oh damn, just realized it's just for flights. Like, what are we gonna do for accommodation?" And I thought, I guess this is a good way to clear it up. So it's good that you thought about like how much wiggle room you're able to give.
They could have just asked me.
Yeah.
Not to mention, what's the time span between what's the event for again? For Seam, yeah.
Yep, that's in October 11th.
So there's a decent amount of time between BAM and then for like them to be able to save if they do have to cover their own accommodation. So it's not all misery for them in the regards for accommodations.
Sometimes people just like to talk shit, but it's good
to be honest, accommodation isn't really that expensive.
That's what I was gonna bring up. I mean, I haven't been.
You're at a hotel, it's cheap as fuck.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's cheap. Singapore.com is definitely one of the expensive things.
Oh, if you
go for a group, it's cheap.
If you want a nice big room, Mr. Hollywood, then sure. But from my experience from going there with my room that I got, it was cheap as fuck.
How much did you spend last year? We always normally spend about 200-ish for a group of 4 people. How much did you spend for 2 people?
Holy shit.
Just Airbnb.
Oh, we didn't Airbnb it. We hoteled it.
How much?
Way cheaper than that, dude. It was like 150 to 200 for the 2 days.
Oh wait. I think I know why. It's because I always go at least 5 days. You went for 2 days. That's probably why. Yeah. I go for about 4 days usually. No, that's fair enough.
It was a 3-night stay, and it was cheap as fuck.
All right. Well, that's that. Like anyone listening, any Street Fighter player who wants to get that opportunity, make sure you're a BAM. Hopefully.
And sign up for 3v3 teams. It's free.
Oh, damn right. That's one of the most fun part of fighting games, man. I love those teams.
Hopefully Christian takes his own advice and he signs up.
Haven't signed up.
I don't think Travis has signed up either, right?
Yeah.
No. It's a nice little fun game. You can play. Is RoF going to sign up? Of course he is. But just like.
Don't forget it's this Sunday, so.
Yeah, this Sunday. So all platinum games. So get in there. All right, guys. We are gonna round it up there to almost 3 hours. Did you guys want to give shout outs before we end? Closing messages.
Yeah. Of course, shout outs to the boys at Darksided for like supporting me, and also shout outs to all the Aussie dudes out there, all the FGCs, and all the friends that I've built in Australia and New Zealand. Thanks for supporting me and my journey.
Nice. Where can the people follow you if they want to check out stuff from you, ZG?
I'll just the main, I guess, would probably be ZGs_AU on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can always find and hit me up there for any questions of anything you think I can answer.
No
I'm
worries.
quite an open book. My DMs are open, so just slide in there. I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Or.
Quick. Shout outs, RoF. Closing messages.
Yeah. Shout outs to Polter. As always, I shout him out in every single discussion I have, because if it wasn't for that bad boy, who knows where I'd be in the FGC with sponsored situation. Shouts to Order, especially Nathan there, who's sort of like the guy that runs the whole shenanigans in the background and shit like that. He's been a great sport and always understanding and always flexible and like requests and shit. So he's been great. Nathan's an absolute legend.
Mm-hmm.
And to a lot of people that support me as well. A lot of times when I go overseas, I see the amount of support and how many people watch me play, which is really good, and I'm really thankful for that. Especially
that's definitely the best aspect of watching back your VODs, right? When you watch like VODs of you going overseas, you always see like the amount of support you get from the people back at home cheering you on and shit. That always gives me like a huge smile watching back.
Yeah. And then you look at the Discord and you see everybody's following on, and then you look at Twitter and you see all the comments. So every time I've had a big loss, I've always felt a bit disappointed in the people that have been following and feel a little bad for not performing as well as I should have. So for you guys that do support me, thanks a lot, because there is that brand, but the only reason there's a brand existing is because there's a lot of people following and watching. So thanks a lot, you guys.
Good shit. And then of course, shout outs to Abby. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for not being too Hollywood to come to the podcast, guys.
Sorry, it's been taking what is this Hollywood shit you come here for like over a year? I keep fucking.
It's all good. I know you guys are busy. But before we end up, RoF, where can the people follow you if they want to check stuff from you?
Twitter at RoF_UU. Aroefu is how they pronounce it in Asia, so I thought, why not pay a homage to that?
Mm-hmm.
So RoF_UU, Aroefu.
If there are new players specifically trying to get into Street Fighter, want some help from like is there like a Discord that you guys are all at that you guys have referenced it a couple of times this podcast?
Yep. It's definitely the one that you want to check out is Team WP AU/NZ FGC.
Oh, send me a link and I'll put it in the related links when I release the audio version of this.
It's definitely the biggest central hub where the Australian FGC especially for Street Fighter players, they hang out, where they're able to communicate, strategize, just share their learning experience, as well as just matchmaking. Matchmaking is just a lot easier when you have this channel, because as I've mentioned before, like sometimes when you sit on rank, you'll be waiting for like 5 to 10 minutes sometimes. Where if you just join this Discord, you can organize matches pretty instantly. There'll always be somebody there willing to play, and there's like players of all different skill levels. So don't ever be afraid. Even if you're new, just check us out, and you'll probably learn something.
Nice.
I've also did a educational video with WP LP for you. It's on their YouTube. I go through like mind games, game plan, mindset, when to use meter, when to press a button, when to walk forward, when to walk backwards. Goes for about 2 hours as well, so you can check that on the WP YouTube channel, where we sort of go through like a look at people's matches and just give them some tips and tricks.
Alright, I'll put that on the related links as well, so people can check that out. But yeah, thanks again, guys, for jumping on. Very much appreciated. I'm not sure if this is gonna be the last podcast before BAM. Like I'm on the committee of the Couch Warriors and a TO, so I'm gonna be very busy tomorrow. If I got time, I will try and release something. But
just make it the last one. You want
We'll see.
Thanks.
We'll see.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Cheers.
see.
See you after BAM. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thanks
see
for
ya.
having us.
All right. Thanks
Have a good
again,
night, boys.
guys. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Peace out.
See you later. Bye bye.